We're going to keep doing our best. I feel like we've had challenges already. Like Team Rad plays weird stuff.
I think the toughest one was Envy. We were really upset we lost, right? Because I thought it's going to be a lot harder from now on. We don't get second chances. But we show that we can work while being under pressure.
Around the outside, Naga's found, the DPS is down, the strangling prison is better, they choke for air, but they can't come up because they're buried under a sea of blue, and those who burn blue.
The fans keep cheering us on, we're going to keep doing our best.
Disengage, here it comes, the dance of otherwise the players stacked on nothing, the most retides for damage, but Melio still manages to strike at the heart when it's needed.
I want to show that I'm there for you, you know?
160 grand on the line, folks. These teams have been going after it. Blood, sweat, and tears, grinding rivals, learning everything there is to learn. I cannot wait to see who will be crowned our first victor in this Worlds. What do you think, buddy? How do you feel?
I mean, excited like you are, dude. I mean, it's been a long journey leading up to just this, and that's exciting. The fact that this is only halfway through the Ignite series, right?
Yes.
We have the grand finals later on. I believe the date's still to be announced, but once we do, I mean, Shib, obviously, these teams are the future of the game, and both Rad and Envy, one of them is going to take it home, obviously, but both are seen as some of the best teams in Marvel Rivals Esports. If you want to learn the game, if you want to improve, if you're just looking at getting into Marvel Rivals Esports, this is the series to watch between both EU and North America. I mean, it's the script kind of wrote it, man.
It's so beautiful. I love the script. 160 grand, but not only that, right?
Yeah.
It is also being etched in the history books. The first team to get this done, and everyone will remember your name. It adds so much pressure. All these teams, I'm sure their hearts are pounding. My adrenaline is going through the roof right now.
Dude.
I'm just so happy to be here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got light sticks out in the crowd as well. I'm sure you guys have seen them. I mean, today's a big day for sure, and it's going to be our very first best out of 7 in the entire tournament. It's best out of 5s we've had throughout, but now we really get to find who the best team in the world is via the format, right, in this grand finals between these two teams. And I think there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of things we can talk about, but we'll sort of wait to build that up once we actually get to see the players. Obviously, the intro done by both Tetcher and Cozy was phenomenal.
Beautiful.
Each player walking out, we had both Tetcher talking about the European players and Cozy about the North Americans. So this is really going to be an incredibly fun match, I believe.
Absolutely. I could have run through a brick wall after that intro. I mean, what the Jeff. Yes, but before we get into storylines, let's just talk about just an overarching picture of these teams, right? Both of these teams incredibly strong, but Envy has not lost yet.
No.
In terms of rounds, 13-3, and the majority of those lost rounds went to their competitor on the side of Rad. 17-6 in terms of rounds, and 5-2 as a whole. 5-0 over to Envy. As we look at Envy right here, Month, Nero, Window, Kaluj, Speedery, and Cal. And there is so much to say about these teams. How about Cal? Is the hit scan DPS potentially one of the best? Phoenix is Speedery, one of the best flyers, if not the best flyer in the game. Kaluj. We haven't talked about Emma yet, but I would think, and I'm curious your take, Kaluj might be one of the best Emmas. So how many times am I going to say that for this team, right?
Yeah, he is. I mean, Kaluj is the ultimate fill player. Same thing with Window, and he's been able to flex onto that Emma and pop off in unbelievable ways for sure, like you said. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see these guys kind of cement themselves as the best in their roles overall. And we were talking to Bobo earlier, obviously knocked out in the play-ins because of either Envy and Rad, and they were talking about how, you know, this team best across the board, all roles, and it's kind of the same thing for Rad. However, you know, we talk about how the interesting factor with both of these squads, both Envy and Rad, they both came through that play-in stage, right? Yeah. They weren't even the #1 seed coming into this tournament, and yet they're both here in the grand finals. And that's an incredible story within itself. Rad, obviously, another team that made it out of the grand final, or made it out of the play-ins, lost to Envy there in 2-0 fashion because that was a first-to-2 series. Once they moved to that upper bracket, they then lost to Envy yet again in 3-1 fashion.
Yes.
And so it's definitely an uphill battle right now for them in this best out of 7.
But they are a very confident team, and a team that runs those very unique compositions, right? We talk about Fate being on the Jeff, and Jeff finding a ton of value with the speed boost compositions. They're 3-2-1 comps where they dive heavy. They look for one-shots. They play off the Venom, the Cap, and just blow up teams in the back line, right? They are so quick, they're so lethal, and they're so I think they're so coordinated, right behind Trust Me, who's been running all their comps, right?
Yeah, Trust Me is an incredibly talented player, and I think that he is definitely a big part of that. I know you'd like to talk about the Vanguard players because they are such an important factor.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of times it is those, you know, heavy leaders of the team. And, you know, I was talking to Gator about building these rosters, about building the best teams in the world, the coach of Team Envy, and I'm sure it's the same thing for Rad's side, is that you kind of need to make sure everybody knows their role. That's the most important thing in this game. It's not necessarily the mechanical skill, it's the overall macro of the game, playing as a cohesive unit. Gator was talking about how, you know, when he picked up Window, I think the final piece of this puzzle for this Envy roster, which is definitely not talked about enough, the fact that Window's come in and be able to flex for multiple things. Gator said they needed that 6th player to be someone that would fill in and kind of not be another cook in the kitchen kind of situation. Right? He said that basically they need to make sure the communication is even across the board, or at least that if you add another leader, another person that's going to come in and try to dominate communication-wise, you might be in a weird spot. So it's good to have somebody that can come in and sort of be that sixth man who can fill and sort of just talk and frag kind of situation.
I think that's a great call, and I think too many cooks in the kitchen is a great point, right? If too many people are talking at once, it's very difficult. It clutters the comms.
Yeah.
I think you need a leader, and I think that they have that, but also so does the opposition,
Right.
is why these two teams battle so well. And it seems like, I would argue that throughout this tournament, it was they were clear that they were at least going to be in the top 3 together. I didn't know exactly who was going to end up here in the finale, but they did prove that they have what it takes to push through. One of the things we need to mention is Envy struggled against Citadel, going to the game 5, 3-2. And honestly, at that last match there, Rad really didn't struggle too much with Citadel, taking them down 3-1, and they looked pretty dominant in that series. So you may be thinking, yes, Envy has beat this team twice. Will it happen a third time, or do you want revenge? But you've got to remember, Envy struggled against Citadel. Rad did not very recently. Will that momentum push them through? And they've also played today feeling warmed up.
Yeah, absolutely. If we're talking about players specifically, going back over to Rad, because I know we've talked about Envy a lot, for Rad as well, another player who stands out to me, who has leveled up in this tournament, who was incredible for sure as that pickup for Rad, is Melio. I feel like Melio has been that flex player. We were talking to Nectar behind the scenes. Nectar was mentioning how the best part about Melio is that he can sort of fill in and play whatever Naga cannot, right? Sort of similar situation with Sentinels. Whenever Rai is, maybe playing a few heroes, sort of that main star, Nectar sort of flex over and play the other heroes. It's always important to have that player who can do that. In the craziest factor is the fact for Envy, they have somebody like Speederly, and then also for the other side on Rad, they have your boy over there, Melio, and he's such an impressive player to me. I think his whole story is crazy. The fact that he was sort of a free agent, kind of going around team to team with 0%, and he's been streaming a lot, I know, on his Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Melio. He's been doing so much in terms of just trying to flex. He was one of the only players early on that adopted that mindset that we're seeing so much today, which is play all of the heroes. Yeah. Play every single hero at a high level, or at least a good enough level, and you will be valuable inevitably.
Because that's what's great about Rivals. Rivals is not very much of just, solo-focused out-of-team fight pickoffs, right? It's not about the neutrals always, although the neutrals are very important. It's about coordination with your team, about coordination of those ultimates, understanding attack windows, when you need to peel, when you need to kite. All that stuff is very important. It's not so black and white as who clicks better. It is not that at all. So that's why I do think having a diverse hero pool, being able to pull out whatever is need be, or especially with a large ban pool of four bans, you have to have options. And having options allows your team comps to be created that are more niche, that can take on these more meta team comps. And it's rock, paper, scissors out there, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you're right. And it's the most important factor, I think, is being able to come out on top in situations like that. Like if you win those rock, paper, scissors. And I think maybe to actually refocus back onto all these teams from behind the scenes, it seems like everybody kind of struggled playing against their own region the most. Yeah. That was what, at least when we're talking to Gator was saying how Team Envy, they would pretty much, by the way, we're going to the first map, which will be Celestial Husk. That'll be the first game of our first map of the day, and Rad's going to be over to attack, which means they'll be on the red side. And when Gator talked about how they struggled against nobody except Sentinels and except 100 Thieves sometimes. Specifically Sentinels, I think they struggle with, and Sentinels already out of the tournament. That was an absolute battle for sure. And the biggest thing is that Sentinels actually put up a pretty strong fight in practice and in scrims. Apparently behind the scenes, Rad has not, right? Behind the scenes, Rad pretty much was 16-2 in terms of map to win ratio for the side of Envy in practice. But that's obviously just practice. That's not the main final stage. Playing for that trophy, as you can see, and playing in front of this crowd, which is definitely very loud today considering it's the grand final, Shib. And for Rad, I wonder how they're feeling, right? Because this is going to be a daunting challenge, but we'll talk about Envy first. I mean, Cal, we'll go player by player here. You can see his stats, but he's really leveled up. I think he is definitely a star in this Envy roster because of how he's played in the Ignite midseason.
Imagine averaging 23 KOs at this level of play. Obviously a hit scan demon. I love seeing the Widow up there. Have not had a picture of that just yet in this tournament, but Widow, maybe a little damage boost is not out of the picture, especially with that kick. But Cal, disgusting as a duelist as we head over to Speedery. This guy right here is built different in the sky. Honestly, even on something like Wolverine has a large hero pool, but put Speedery in the sky and you will guarantee a ton of damage. 29 average KOs out there with almost 24K average damage.
Well, and this is the guy everybody's talking about, right? I know we've talked about, the Vanguards and a lot of the, leadership coming through these teams. Speedery is the guy that everybody's talking about is the best player in the world. Yeah. Right? Speedery is that guy who, when we're talking to Bobo's like, Speedery is just the best player in the world right now. Flexibility, and usually I think that player that can sort of flex onto multiple heroes isn't necessarily the star of the team. Speedery is definitely that star, and speaking about star, stars as well. Kaluj is pretty much the most valuable player, I think, in North America in terms of just sheer need for Vanguards.
Raw experience, too, right?
Exactly, the raw experience. And maybe talking about people that are still getting into their own is somebody like Windows Shib, right? Some guy, like I said, kind of coming in to fill up that needed six-man spot.
Yeah, I mean, and Window's not afraid to pull things out like Groot. Has that more off-tank play style. He can have that Venom. Obviously, Magneto incredibly strong right now, so there's no doubt Mag will be played if available. But Window very stoic, very calm out there, and I think that is very important in a moment like this. 7 games, but especially game 1, you are incredibly nervous, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and speaking about somebody maybe that does not have those nerves, as you can see with the death stare into the camera at the walkout was Nero.
Locked in.
Absolutely locked in. Flipping over to that strategist role. He's been playing a ton more of those heroes in this game in Marvel Rivals. Obviously, in esports as a whole, he's more known as a duelist main. Came over to this game, been popping off. I played with him when he was a duelist main, and I was a strategist main in the other game. In Marvel Rivals, though, this guy is absolutely one of the best strategist players, just making that role swap. Seen as the best by a lot of people as well. And on the opposite side, Month, you know, another guy who kind of, like Window, came into this roster as sort of that rookie, and he's kind of come into his own.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of positive feedback about Month. Month is just someone that a lot of people really enjoy being around, and I think as a team, you need someone like that, somebody that you can, you know, a teddy bear, somebody you can always gel and vibe with, keeping the team morale up, and Month does that for this team. And I think that, you know, very strong there on the Loki. We've seen a lot of Loki play when available. You've mentioned a lot, actually, about how Loki getting through the banning phase is a punch, right? It's a punch to the face. You know what I mean? You have a game plan until you get socked in the mouth, and then things change.
Well, that's the thing about both of these teams with Team Envy, and then once we go over to Team Rad, the reason why they're here competing for this finals, for this midseason trophy, is because...
Wow, look at that thing! Are you kidding me?
Man, that's like a giant, either golden bar or a golden stick of butter. I don't know, both of which would be amazing either for breakfast or for in my bank vault.
Keep it and eat it. Yeah, I get it.
Absolutely, but like both of these teams. I was talking to Delena behind the scenes, by the way, as we talk about Fate, somebody that can flex over to that Jeff, flex over to pretty much everything. He said the reason why they lost to Rad previously and got that third place spot going home in that third place spot instead of somebody like Citadel is because he felt they kept giving them the god comps. But the problem is, I think in hindsight, is that every comp is a god comp for both these teams, for both Envy and Rad.
Exactly.
You can't. You think you don't want to give them something, but when you have people like Level 1 Crook who can flex over to pretty much every strategist, and same thing with Fate.
Sure.
I mean, how do you even go about the draft phase? Because a team like Rad is almost untouchable.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of folks elect to ban out this Mantis prior to this tournament, or every single time they're going against Rad, because that enables a lot, which is funny, because in ladder you may not see that, but someone as strong as Level 1 Crook when it comes to Mantis, the damage boost, the plays off of those damage boosts, and what it can enable with things like Venom, they want to get rid of that, because this team does that exceptionally well. As we look over at Rajaro, a very strong shield tank. Rajaro, maybe not spoken enough about, because, you know, they go under the radar. They just do a consistently strong job. Every single map, and I think a lot of the time as casters we get hype over a lot of duelist plays. We maybe slack a little bit on the strategist line and the Vanguard line a little bit, unless you're going after something like Venom, aggro style, right? So got to show love there, but we now look over at that Venom.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked about Trust Me being the best Venom in the game for a lot of people. I mean, I don't remember who it was. I think it was Nectar saying that they had an idea that Trust Me has like a plus 20% damage boost whenever he plays Venom on the hero, right? Because like he's just that good.
He's in the code.
Hero. Absolutely, and on top of the communication he does, like you're talking about Rajaro filling a very similar role to the opposite side for Window, right? Coming in, maybe not talking as much, but that's good. That's perfect for somebody like Trust Me who can take advantage of the communication on top of their overall aggressive playstyle. And Melio, I think for me this has been the biggest factor for Rad as he gets a little bit of a wave. Obviously, is very famous here in China, has everybody asking him for pictures. And Melio, I think, has stepped up, sort of like Cal on the opposite side, but in an opposite way, right? Been able to flex to a lot of different heroes, and he's played so well this tournament.
I have no doubt we're going to see some Phoenix battles. Who is the real Phoenix with those off angles? Obviously, is going to be impacted there by some of those strat line cooldowns.
Who is John Gray in this situation?
There you go. I like it. As we glance over at Naga. Naga yesterday was looking insane, showing up a bit absolutely today as well. Averaging almost 23K damage with that Hella. We saw Punisher a few times out of Naga, which I think has been slept on in this tournament a little bit. A big hitbox, but can output a ton of damage, especially with something like a Storm comp.
Absolutely. I mean, yes, the Punisher can definitely deal with those triple Vanguard, triple strategist comps that you always talk about, Jib, and how good they are at spawn camping you. Both of these teams are, you know, well aware of the different strategies of this game. I mean, there's so many different play styles in terms of what you have to do. It's a very, very, I would say, big brain game, because a lot of the mechanical skill is there, obviously, but generally, a lot of the characters just need more coordination. Like,
Sure.
that's the most important thing, is talking with your teammates, making sure you go for dives. And even, trust me, before this, when we were sitting in the little VIP booth area over there, he was talking about how towards the devs, he was like, hey, can we please make an option for a push to mute? Because
to the devs.
Yeah, exactly. Because he wants to be
Such a
constantly
beauty.
talking, man. It's so important, because he's like, the reason why people don't talk in ranked maybe as much is because they don't have that open mic. They just need an opportunity to just press push to mute if they need to go talk to their chat if they're streaming, or to somebody else in their household. So I don't know. He's like very passionate about maybe allowing you to talk more. He wants more people like him, because that really is a path to success for a lot of players if they aren't talking enough, and maybe you bring that mechanical skill but you're still losing. Sometimes definitely communicating like you do a lot in your ranked game, Shiv, is going to enable you to win a lot more.
Couldn't agree more. And speaking of his communication, he was cracking me up. I was washing my hands in the bathroom when he was facing Citadel, walked by and just said 2 more maps. That's simple. 2 more maps as he was playing. Very confident, very strong, and great comms. And I do like the push to mute idea. But we are heading into this game very shortly. Obviously, map 1 is always domination. It is randomized, folks. Celestial, Husk, we saw that earlier on. These team comps are always unique from these teams. I cannot wait to see it. Look at this stage, folks, as we are going to find out who gets the title today and receives 160 Gs. Are you kidding me? First ban out. What did I say? Goodbye to that Mantis.
Goodbye to Mantis, goodbye to Torch. Both teams prioritizing each other's hero pools in terms of getting rid of that hero, but it's sort of like that, because you have to go for that ban, either Torch or Mantis a lot of times, you're going to see this Luna Snow Protect come through. And on the opposite side for Envy, they get a ban out Magneto, getting rid of Rajaro in terms of that hero that he likes to play. And protecting that Emma, interesting, would be a play for sure, considering the fact that, like you mentioned, Shiv, you talked about how good Kaluj is on the hero. Yeah,
I think Kaluj, an incredible Strange and an incredible Emma. Obviously, Strange comes out when the time need be, but it's more of it's risky to have Strange out in your initial composition simply because of the fact that you can't use that teleport when somebody gets KO'd early, right? Because the hero is already selected, as we see.
Well, the thing is, Shiv, too, as well, sorry to cut you off, man, but like the thing is as well about the Emmas, you threaten the Psylocke pick, right? The Psylocke Emma team up, as we all know, is so incredibly strong, especially with somebody like Melio playing it. And then you also got rid of Mantis on the opposite side, so you force the Adam Warlock ban to come out because, you know, you don't want to have to play against triple res, especially against a team like Envy in the North American region. They're incredibly good at that. On the opposite side, Luna Snow Protect comes through as well, as that Psylocke ban now comes through.
Great call.
I mean, Rad, they're just trying to counter Envy on their side and what's available. You got to get rid of triple res, get rid of that Psylocke Emma. I mean, there's so many things you have to worry about. Captain America, like you saw on the opposite side for Envy, getting rid of those dive plays too. So for Rad, I mean, they have the Emma on their own. They also get the Psylocke play coming through for Melio. And then for Envy, they're not going to be able to play the Psylocke. They're not going to play that Adam triple res composition, but they do have the Mantis, so they can still go for that Ultron stuff if they really want to. But the Phoenix, the Torch getting removed, it's interesting because I think in the past we've seen a lot of more targeted bans towards speedery. Nowadays, I think for the top teams for Rad, they're maybe focusing on the overall composition. And this is when we talk about a team like Virtus Pro, who is not here. And because Rad and Citadel both beat out VP in their respective region, they are here on the main stage. But like, you need to have no gaps, right? And for a lot of these teams, it's okay to let people play certain compositions, right? We know Sparker is one of the best Psylocks in the game. Not here, obviously, but sometimes you have to be okay giving up a Psylocke as long as you're getting rid of a stronger composition.
I agree with that. I think one thing that we need to call out for Envy is Envy does a good job with those bunker anti-dive compositions where they use that Emma to shut down the Venom, so they don't need to ban the Venom, right? They're one of those teams that doesn't panic against Rad's more traditional all-in composition as we prepare here, folks, for game 1 of our finale, and I am so excited to see this start off. You see Nero there, obviously using that Jeff for at least a speed boost off the rip, and yes, there it goes with the switch back there from Nero onto the Luna Snow Speedery on that Storm. Cal showing up here on the Winter Soldier. Saw some success with that over this tournament, which was a surprising showing there, but that goes back to that composition of the anti-dive if they wanted to choose that, as trust me, we'll be on that Venom, and here we go.
Here we go indeed. I mean, setting up on the outside of this round, and everybody's kind of poking each other out, Shiv, right? That's kind of the point of this comp and Envy. Interesting that you want to play something like this because now Nero's already gone.
Trust me, gonna engage. Down goes Crystals immediately. Goodbye to that regen aura as they do lose one. Trust me, on a Speedery does not miss with those tendrils. Naga gonna find Cal now. That's 2 down for the side of Envy. Rad looking really good off the rip. These initial fights are so strong for Rad. When you have these, Month gonna find Trust Me right back though. Level 1 Crook onto Kaluj. Loki, so much damage, so much healing. Rajaro now with Month. Envy heavily down now as Rad does have the point, 6% and counting.
Well, and right now, I'm actually I feel like Rad might have at least done very well in that draft phase, because now Speedery is going to go over to the Iron Fist to make sure Nero gets the team up with the Luna Snow. We talked about how good that is to make sure Nero can always push away the divers. But still, I mean, Luna Snow, it's so hard to live even after that cooldown runs out. We'll see if they can. I mean, they have one of the strongest backlines in the game, and same thing for Rad, but Rad maybe can set up the momentum with Melio dive with Trust Me.
Yeah, I think the thing about Rad is if they get point early like this, they tend to succeed heavy because they do have a composition like Venom who could stall point for a very long time, and that's all their goal is now, is to try to hold the point. As we see immediately, out goes that cooldown. Trust Me, gonna fall though as Kaluj gets some serious damage out. Out we go with the end song. Does not collide, burned out of the sky. Great focus there. Melio going to get strangled prison. Down goes two as Rajaro and Cal cleans up Naga, and that is a great retake here. At this point, they burned another strategist cooldown, and they are up in numbers, so well done, Envy, on this fight to come back here, but 54% still and counting.
Yeah, they're trying to delay them. I mean, you have both Stratus Ultimates, Pop, Crook, and Fate giving their all. Here comes that crack and impact on the backside, just get resets. I mean, shipping to this point, Cal's gonna get one. The stalls do come through. They actually, Speedery pops the ultimate, but nobody's even here.
I don't know if I like it. I mean, at this point, I think they were just trying to get rid of the stall. 64% is close to that number they're looking for off the rip there. They try to get a little bit above 70, and then at that point, it's a guaranteed teleport fight. If they lose one fight, it's over. So I think at this point here, folks, Rad is up for this map, at least right now, but we know how MB is. They get punched, and they turn into the Hulk. They do not take it lightly. Trust Me now going to set up and look for the back line, but they do have Iron Fist just kind of setting up and marking as Venom has a ton of movement, resetting towards the strategist.
Yeah, you can always kind of change compositions, right? They're going for that counter dive, but they still have to play the objective with both Vanguards. We'll see how they do. There's no Wolverine on the opposite side, so this group should get a lot of value like we talked about before.
And Trust Me, again, burning that cooldown. Cal peeling for the back line. Out we go with the Psionic. Doesn't find the back line. Great focus there. Kaluj going to pull out the Crystal. Nero is starting in that dance floor. Rajaro still holding on to that Psionic. Not a lot of value out of either. Does force out cooldowns, though. Into the back line we go. Again, strangling prison from Window. Oh. Trust Me says it's not going to matter as they take out two more. Window finds Crook, but Rajaro gets two more, and that is back in Rad's favor.
Yep, back and forth. I mean, both teams making those counter swaps, or at least going for these dives a little bit healthier for Rad. They keep forcing out these greens, these crystals for month incredibly early, but because they need to keep Window alive, right, on that Groot and on that Emma, the problem with playing counter dive is that you are kind of straightforward, right? You have to kind of play in these positions and you know where you are, where for Rad, or rather the enemy team knows where you are, and for Rad, they can sort of play flexible. They can play all over the map and get you poked out before they go for those dives and set up angles, off angles to come through on the back line, make sure that both Nero and Month are uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it forces you to keep, eyes in two different directions, right? That is the problem, and they keep finding value that way. So great idea and great strategy from Rad. Speedery going to fight Crook early in the neutral, though, and that is a big fight. We haven't seen a ton of fists, but definitely playable, especially when Luna's on the field. Dance floor's match. Who's going to dance the hardest, though, as the battle begins? Cal holding on to this Kraken impact. Naga on the high side. Rajaro on a Nero, though. Speedery on a Naga. But the numbers are evened out. Strategists are down to the side of Envy, and that's a scary position. Rajaro gonna drop Month. That's another level 1 Crook on a Cal, and things are getting dicey as Rad is up heavy. And will they be able to portal back? I do not know. Yes,
here.
They do. He's holding still. Speedery just using that block cooldown. Very little time. Great way to hold on for that whole moment, but now it's the dangerous position as they are dropping like flies.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to win unless, Stratus Ultimates come out. Cal obviously switches to that Luna Snow. Kaluj does get one, but man, it's going to be an incredibly tough fight to win, especially in overtime. This is going to be go next round kind of angle. Rad, take round number 1.
At that point, it's like, do you save the cooldowns? I don't know. I like the idea of them going in there and burning also try to hold, but losing Speedery, and Speedery did a great job for the record, holding that point. As you see, Cal is locked in, angry, faced right now, did not take that lightly. Rad trying to stay calm, cool, and collected, keeping their energy forward, and that's how you got to keep that momentum. I mean, that was disgusting.
It was almost a blessing in disguise. I mean, we talk about the best duelist players finding picks before these fights even started, the neutrals like Speedery did onto level 1 Crook, but it was almost a blessing in disguise, the fact that Crook did go down. He got KO'd early on, and that sort of resulted in him saving his ultimate, saving it for next round. And also, like you said, I mean, because it was Nero having to portal, he was about, I believe, 80% to Luna Snow ult. Now, he doesn't have that ult ready to go. For Envy, they're going to speed boost out of spawn with the Jeff, so obviously it's not going to be incredibly exciting to see that character come out potentially, but for Rad, they're giving everybody armor packs from Fate on his side. He's switching back to Luna Snow, obviously getting that little bit of advantage in the grand finals for this midseason. That really is everything.
And the games begin, folks. Naga is close to ultimate. Alt advantage heavily on the side of Rad. Closest will be Window and Kaluj, which honestly not a huge combination there. For the most part, Window is going to set up something like Cal, maybe even Speedery, but we will see that combo. Level 1 Crook holding on Melio. Trust Me is at 36, excuse me, as Naga is very close. That is a scary group of alts ready for the side of Rad in this first fight, and if Rad wins the first battle, they typically take the map home. Remember that.
Yeah, but you saw that hiding on Loki as well, ready to go for that dive with the Venom. Now they're kind of coming back with that dance floor from Rad.
Melio onto the back line, dancing the butterfly out, doesn't find value. Nice patty cake there from Month and Nero, good comms, and they are going to proceed to do that while Psylocke just pumps in damage. Nero goes down. Trust Me out of Kaluj. Melio gonna find Month. Speedery gets 1, but it will not matter. Trust Me, how many can he find as they get 3? Built different, make it 4.
I mean, right now, it seems like Envy's trying to find a solution. They have Speedery going over to that Wolverine, and they're playing that counter dive composition. But honestly, I feel like in the current patch of this game, in my opinion, I just think diving is a lot more, it's just a lot stronger. You can set the pace, you can set the tempo, you can force out Shredder's ultimates early. However, in that last fight, they did use level 1 Crook's ultimate. They might have to find pickoffs early for Envy. They have both Shredder's ult ready to go. We'll see how this fight plays out. Rad's going to want an extended one to build level 1 Crook's ultimate.
Yeah, Rad is playing lights out right now, no doubt about it. See how Trust Me right there, folks, for those who don't know. Utilizing, you can use that cooldown, your height. All you want to do, folks, when you're playing Venom is use that wall climb to initiate with your jump. Save the Chendril for the way out if you want to use that grapple. Trust Me, you got to find Month with the feast, though, early on, and that's a massive pick again. Cal, though, says right back at you, sir, as Trust Me goes down. Rajaro trying to get some entrance with that Zionic. Ooh, great wall there. Ooh, peaked a little bit too early. Thought we're going to fall down, Window. They do have positioning advantage now, shoving them back into that corner. Naga on the height behind them, though, putting a ton of damage out onto the front line, and Window goes down now. Melio with some great shots there right to the dome of Groot. No longer Groot, if you will. I am what? As they're back in the spawn door. Speedery gonna find Rajaro. And will that turn around, folks? Kraken Impact ready.
This we're talking about Speedery being one of the best players in the game. He picked off Rajaro after the Diamond Form's over, so he is not CC immune. So great work for Speedery. The fight's still happening. It's an incredibly long one. Rad are just delaying. Yeah,
no alts left here for Rad, but that's all they wanted, right? 78% using this portal early, because at this point, let's make it a one-fight game. Get to 99. That is smart play, and that's what Rad does best. And I think you need to find a way to shut this down, and they are, as Cal gonna take out Bait Window onto Rajaro. You can see Groot doing a good job shutting down some of that dive with walling off some of those angles. Speedery finds Trust Me building, going right to the spawn door, thinking about it, says, I don't want to do that anymore. Month gonna find Melio. Does lose the passive cooldown here for Speedery, which does greatly impact the way that you play Wolverine.
Yeah, and this is still pretty solid for Rad. I mean, they got point tickets on the board. They're coming up both Stratus ultimates, and they keep picking off Month. That's the player you talked about earlier, Trust Me, finding these pickoffs early, and that's kind of what's setting Envy back right now. The pace of play from Rad is just too much, and Envy aren't really reacting. This has been an incredible game number 1 from Rad. I feel like the compositions are a little bit better. Maybe we can see something out of Speedery, and Cal's now over to Punisher too, so I wonder how they're going to do here instead of the Bucky. I feel like Bucky's better for the hard field, but with Cal switching out the shotgun, definitely can do a lot more damage, even though he doesn't have the CC.
Yeah, I like the idea. I think the problem right now is the fact that they are in neutrals, consistently finding first pick, and Speedery tries to match it after it seemingly every time. Tackle goes out, Kaluj onto Melio, though, and that is a good fight early on, as we do see the Psionic. Not able to get too much value yet. Oh, very close there on height. Good utilization of that cooldown. Out goes Venom again with the dive, but that's going to take some time to reset, going straight into a Loki, though, fully healed up now. Ready for the next fight. Month and Nero being very patient. Honestly, I was going to offer the advice that they may need to play a little more aggro with those strategist line ults to win the next fight and ensure they're get driven back. As now Crook and Fate do have ult, but it's all about who gets the better strategist ult in this moment. Window does have Strangling, which will likely force out one. If they can find a dual assault combo, can go right through one of those strategist line ultimates out. Goes the Feast. Fate gonna clean up Window. Month goes down from Naga 2, and they are pressing back through and trying to shut this down and get this W.
Yeah, right now, I mean, it looked like they're peeling so well. The pole's going to have to come out from somebody. Looks like Window in this case, so they can draw it out. But Cal goes down. Month is coming back with the copy. But again, did he fall early in that fight? I believe he did. So in this upcoming fight, they didn't have the copy ready to go. However, because Fate used his ult, maybe Envy have a chance here with the portal play.
The portal goes out. Envy is able to touch. It's all about patience now. Great utilization of the fate of both worlds. Team staying healthy. Damage boost shutting down just some clones for the moment. Do have that all down. It is just going to buy time, but they do not even have point at this point. We need to find out who is on, and Melio in a flash, in a blink, is going to take out Kaluge now on his Trust Me. That's a pick, but Dance of the Butterfly, patty cake for days. They are holding on. Melio going to get another pick potentially as they consistently find value after that ultimate goes off, and there it goes as Mutt and Nero both fall. Rad might take this first map. No teleport left. It's all about can they hold the stagger. They cannot. Rad gets map number 1.
Yeah, huge map on Celestial Husk, and I think really, you saw in that case the patty cake, like you called, Chip. Everybody came back to peel for Psylocke, but that's maximum value for Melio. Melio is distracting 3 players for the entirety of his ultimate because the Emma came back with Diamond Form to also give damage resist. So not only did he force the greens, not only did he force the damage or the Diamond Form from that Emma Frost, but because of everything he did in that situation, they're able to take advantage of that. No more cooldowns to save the Vanguards who were low because they were missing their strategists healing each other. So fantastic work from Melio, and obviously the team. I mean, the pace of play was crazy. I thought that there was a comeback potential there from Envy, but it's so hard to peel, especially on these maps and kite when you're playing in these rooms towards the health pack side. I mean, you saw Melio do so much with these dives with Trust Me.
Yeah, I think you gotta, like you're saying, show love to Melio. It was a Dance of the Butterfly forcing both strategists to keep eyes away, patty cake back and forth, and then by the time that was done, they even used Loki crystals during those moments because that's just the instinctive reaction when you see Dance of the Butterfly.
Right.
But then after, every single time, they were picked off. So not only were they distracted and not looking towards the front line, unable to do much, they then were KO'd in between the team fight. So, so much value from that Psylocke. Got to keep eyes on that as they progress forward. But do remember, folks, last time Envy lost 2 in a row against Citadel and then reversed swept. Can something like that happen again, or are they going to take it personally, step back up with their map choice?
Yeah, I mean, I want to see what they change, right? Because domination it does feel like dive favored, right?
Sure.
We've talked
certain
about
maps
how
for sure.
Certain maps for sure. Yeah, a lot of domination maps, I think, though, do enable these sort of like Black Panther compositions. That's why you see a lot of snowballs with that sort of stuff. And the same thing with the Emma Psylocke team up dives that come through from Melio with the Venom. So just because of that, it just felt like they were able to get more value. Now, if we go to a different map, once we go to these more like payload-centric maps where you have objectives that have to constantly move and you have to escort them, those maps I think that you're going to see a little bit more value out of these counter dive compositions. But we know how good Envy are at those comps as well. But that maybe is that weakness that we mentioned. You can see on the side they do have Window, an incredibly good Venom player, but have we even really seen Envy play much of that Venom composition like other teams?
Not too many times. A few times for sure, but it was more so when banned out. It was more of a targeting situation. I do think Window is a mean Groot, and I think Groot will see a rise. Although I do think Groot is incredibly strong right now. I think he'll see a rise in the meta in the next season. But great pick. I'm with you. I think Venom is finding a lot of value with Psylocke. They're similar to Cap Psylocke, where a lot of those compositions are knocking up folks with the Cap push, and then when that happens, Psylocke has easy tracking because it's more of a falling pattern, and that's something you can read without a lot of juking. Similar story with Venom. When Venom hard engages, uses that ultimate and knocks up the team, Psylocke can collapse, but you don't even need to do that when you're Trust Me, who just gets KOs every time.
Yeah, and I guess since we're in the grand finals, I'm sure we have a lot of new viewers joining us on the broadcast. So first of all, thank you so much. Make sure to follow if you're watching on Twitch or on YouTube. Subscribe. And obviously, I think because of that, a lot of people don't know some of the different terminologies of this game, right?
Sure.
We talk about how I was saying dive versus a counter dive composition, right? There's sort of 2 main compositions in this game, right, that a lot of people talk about. There's sort of dive compositions, which you saw Rad play when they had that Venom and Psylocke dive, which in this situation, Chip, it feels like there's a lot of teams that, when we look back at the stats, maybe different. The stats don't matter too much, and what you want to notice is like kind of how many people are going down, how many people are able to get those KOs on those flanks. You notice that these dive comps don't really get a lot of damage, right? They're more about getting those final hits. If you've noticed on Rad's side, I mean, you can see 14 final hits for Trust Me. That's really what matters for these hard dive compositions. And for the unfortunate part about a lot of these counter dive compositions, for Rad, they're playing more aggro, they're setting up flanks, they're setting up Melio on those dives. You're not really getting a ton of damage in, and that's why you don't want to really focus too much on the damage number when you're playing Psylocke with a Venom or a Captain America, because you're setting up one-shot combinations with Trust Me, with Melio, because you can sort of do that. On the opposite side for Envy, it's harder to set those up or play aggressive because they were playing what I like to call a front-to-back composition, right? And what a lot of the
more
pros
traditional,
call,
right?
More traditional, yes, exactly, where you kind of play as a unit. You play, like you called out, Groot, you play that Emma, two characters that are a little bit more immobile. Same thing with the Bucky, same thing, well, not really so much with the Wolverine. That's why Spidery was having a hard time. He's figuring out what do I play with this composition, but you sort of play it slow, front to back style, where you're doing a ton of damage, you're playing as a cohesive unit. You don't really make a ton of individual plays, and maybe that's why we've seen a lot more Jeff lately, because in these front to back compositions, the Jeff enables you to kind of speed and go aggressive, and you can't really,
as a unit, right?
As a unit, you can't really do that in this game as easily unless you're playing that Jeff, which we haven't seen that sort of change come through for these front to back comps.
Yeah, I think that's a great call out, and they're showing Naga here. I wanted to mention, I think it was really difficult for Kaluj to find much value on that map, just simply because of the fact that their team was so off angle and dive focused. You're really looking towards Crook and Fate, and what I wanted to say was Naga was essentially on off angle pressure the tank duty, where they were up in that central location, especially on the last map, just dealing raw damage to the tank's front line, so they really couldn't even go after the strategists, because their strategists were being attacked by Trust Me, distracted, so it was just damage to the face, unable to get away, as we see Trust Me here popping off, diving in, hyper aggro, Kaluj gets a pick, but I think Trust Me's value in pulling out these strategist cooldowns early on has been invaluable, correct?
Absolutely. I think that's going to be the next evolution of this game. And we were talking about how, a lot of the players here, especially in the grand finals, I think are the future of this game because of their flexibility. But when we talk about, the pace of play, right now it's incredibly fast. I think that you want to constantly pressure out the backline. And I think, if you're new watching at home, the biggest thing I like to tell people, and the reason why Month got picked off, I don't think was any fault of his own. It's just that you can't do the same thing to Fate or Level 1 Cook. You don't have that same KO potential onto their back line, so they're always going to be free. Opposite side, Month's always going to get his crystals forced out early. Nero's going to be forced to also play in a similar situation. So because of that, I think that they were always kind of the ones receiving the dives from Rad, and the pace was just too much for them to handle. But when we talk about new players, new enjoyers of Marvel Rivals Esport, if you are ever curious and want to know who's going to win the upcoming fight, a biggest key I like to tell people, and it really is this at the highest level as well, it's never that complicated. It's sort of simple. Sometimes you just want to look at the strategy results.
Sure.
Right? You just like, okay, Month has his, you saw Nero has his, so they have two ultimates on the side of Envy, for example, and on the opposite side, you saw maybe Fate has one. Maybe he only has one Fate of the Worlds, and because of that, obviously two greater than one, and we know strategy results are some of the strongest in the game, but what changes that, what can change the fight, is the pick-off potentials that we saw. But really, if you want sort of a simple, dumbed-down version, definitely look towards those strategists.
Or ults in general, right?
Like,
it's alt tracking. And that's why we should have a discussion on alt tracking. And these teams, for the most part, although it can be diversified across the team, have someone that their job, for the most part, is to alt track, have an understanding roughly where the enemy is at, and make that call out of what is coming in the next fight. Because, like you were saying, strategist ultimates are incredibly strong. There are combinations that can break that. So it's a little more in-depth as you progress through the game, but that is a great call out.
Yeah, absolutely. It does get more complex, and I think that's the most important thing to note about professional play, is that there's a lot of things that you can't really do in ranked because of the fact that you're not playing at this level, and it's always hard to emulate your favorite pros. Like, just because you copy their sensitivity or their resolution doesn't make you
takes a lot more. It's a cerebral game, and since we just saw Envy lose in the past, they typically choose maps along the lines of Central Park and Yggdrasil. So they're very comfortable on those maps. I'm curious to see what they will be choosing. And we did see Yggdrasil there on the bottom of our first conversation. So they are looking to go back to that traditional tried and true map out there early on in Season 0. Personally, big favorite of mine. I love that map, as it is just a convoy pushing the whole time.
Yep, absolutely. And I'm curious to see what happens in this upcoming map. And let's we talk about even some of the teams out of the tournament right now, Shib. Like, some of them really can't, or aren't the best at every single map. Like, we see like Rad and Envy, where they're pretty good on pretty much every single map. But a lot of the teams even out of the tournament right now are really strong on certain maps, right? Where you have, like you said, Central Park. Some of the teams I'm sure that are already out do better on that map. Maybe a team like Envy haven't done that well in practice versus a team like Rad on these type of maps, or rather Envy took Rad to that map, so maybe it's vice versa, rather. But yeah, I mean, these type of things like map win percentage is what these pro players look at, what the teams look at mainly when they're deciding those map picks.
Yeah, and what can favor their composition. So I think we need to see here, the Venom ban. I've been saying this for a while against Trust Me. A very strong Cap as well, but I think Cap is more manageable by Emma, simply due to the fact that you can trace Cap, you can build that laser charge off Cap shield. Venom, though, with just the raw speed of in and out, especially if you're playing Venom properly, by using that wall climb engage into an instant out across the map, it is so hard, and it does it brings your mind to the wrong focus. Instead of peeling or instead of finding value and chasing their backline, you're consistently just walking around chasing the essentially invulnerable Venom.
Right, absolutely. I think that would be an interesting choice if that does come out. Meanwhile, Human Torch ban and Mantis ban off the rip here, Shib.
Yeah, Human Torch is just going to happen nearly every time. They do not want Speedery on that hero. We talk about how much of a skill ceiling that Human Torch has in being one of the best, if not the best duelist in the game. You don't want the highest ceiling in those hands. So goodbye to Jean Grey for the side of Rad, and that's going towards Cal. So targeting those duelists and locking in the Loki, which you do not like that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think the Loki is going to be scary. I mean, on the opposite side for Team Envy, but maybe it is map dependent. This is what we're talking about. I mean, Trust Me was mentioning it, and I'm talking about it earlier on a separate day. And if you missed that, basically he was telling me that, you know, Luna Snow is a good hero, and same thing with Loki, but Loki is a lot more important on certain maps, right? And you talked about how on Yggdrasil, this could be a map where Loki is really, really strong, and sometimes it feels like you're unbeatable. So that could help them in the long term, but there are heroes that enable the Loki, like the Luna Snow, and that's why Envy goes for that ban on the opposite side.
Yeah, goodbye to the Warlock, goodbye to the Mantis. Luna Snow, get her out of here. That is a combination that is very difficult to power through, so I do like the idea of removing that. If you're going to lock in Loki, got to get rid of the Luna, and there is the Torch ban, as well as we head into our final lock on this side. Envy is going to be locking in here shortly. But I honestly, you know, it is the Psylocke, so that is, all right, that's what they needed. The Psylocke got so much value in the last map against them, so I do think this is a good choice by the side of Envy here, because that combination enabling the clone, more burst potential, although I don't think it's necessary for Psylocke. It enables much faster insta-1 KO potential, so that's a good pick. That's a good pick in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I like that, and I like that we're also seeing the Psylocke protect come through from Team Envy on their side. Sorry, excuse me. Captain America ban on their side as well, and you know, I want to see Envy maybe, like you said, play that Venom. Maybe put Window over to Venom, like we've seen him do well on. And you know, that's the tough part though, is because Trust Me is such a hardcore communicating player. I wonder if they play that Venom dive a little bit better, right? I wonder if maybe EU in general can play that dive to a higher level. And I know it's interesting because I think traditionally in esports, you know, maybe Europe teams are known for playing front to back style, and same thing for North America. But you know, nowadays, especially in Marvel Rivals, it feels like a lot of the European teams are very good at diving and setting tempo.
Yeah, and I think that when it comes to Envy, on this map in particular, on defense, they always run triple-triple. So this gets confusing in the banning phase, which is a smart strategy for the side of the map pick in general. Rad is not going to know whether to try to ban that out because they found success running that triple-triple, shutting down a .1 multiple times in this tournament. So great idea there, because I don't know now if having that comp in your back pocket, they don't really care about these bans that are more targeted towards their duelists. It doesn't matter to them, right?
And I think months ago, Shib, just to sort of recall back to what you mentioned with that triple Vanguard, triple strategist, that, you know, teams were trying to make sure they could run that the whole map. You know, people were like practicing triple Vanguard, triple strategist throughout the entirety of a map. And these days, you kind of just play at first point and switch off, but you can't do it the whole time because of that evolution of people learning. Maybe don't play triple Vanguard, triple strategist in the second phase or third phase of series.
And we begin, folks. Loki going to be locked in here for Envy as they do press forward. The bans on Torch, Phoenix, Atom, and Captain America. The games begin. Trust Me, not going to be on the Venom yet. Instead, going to be on that Cap.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a scary hero to play against, right? Because we know how good Captain America can be, and the dives are always so strong. People value how good Captain America is, but we'll see how much value they can get, because right now, front-to-back style in which that Envy are playing yet again with that Bucky and with that Groot is enabling the walk up, but Trust Me takes advantage of Mutt being out of position again.
Trust Me just continuously is doing this here. I mean, finding so much value early on. Cal, though, going to find Trust Me as I say that. Nice work. Another yoink from downtown. Nero going to clean up Naga there, and that's a lot of pressure as they are walking forward. I liked this pick here. Not too much, not too consistent, at least, in this tournament when it comes to Winter Soldier, but those are great pulls.
Yeah, usually we'd see Cal play Jean Grey, aka Phoenix, but because it was banned, we're seeing him play a lot more Bucky, which does a very similar thing, except maybe slightly less, I suppose, in terms of the peel department, but portal back through. Here comes that Eternal Bond from level 1 Crook.
Trust Me with a portal, and that is an early usage of that cooldown there. Trust Me, gonna find Mutt, though, with that combination off of the Phoenix. So good play there with Naga. It's all about using burst damage quickly. Rajaro gonna take out Cal now. At this point, just be patient if you're on the side of Envy. Do not commit cooldowns, and they will fall together. Do not stagger as well. They're trying to wait as long as they possibly can on Kalush here. But at this point, just feeding that strategy assault waited a little bit too long.
I mean, they might come back into it, but I think the biggest problem is Month's gone down, got KO'd 2 times in a row now, and it's not necessarily his fault entirely. Like, he could be using his Loki crystals a little bit earlier, but you could also say maybe they need to be taking out the opposite side of Trust Me a little bit faster. So 2 things are sort of happening right now. It's going to be a big ultimate fight, and also Level 1 Quick has built back up his copy, so they're not even that far behind, even though they committed their ult in the last fight.
And we see the Psionic again towards the backline. Great utilization of cooldowns, waiting some time first to get that healing. Kaluj gonna find Naga now, right in towards Level 1 Crook. Yoink, saying not in my house. A bit of damage, but trust me, right through it is gonna find Month, and then we'll see Nero, Cal, Window, and Speedery fall from that ultimate, and Envy committed a lot there too.
And that's why we see Dr. Strange banned on some of these maps, especially against a team like Envy, is because of situations like that with Trust Me coming back with the portal, building up that Agamotto. And even though, sure, Dr. Strange, I think, isn't valued as high as a character like Emma Frost, or in this case, Captain America, you can still get massive value out of your ultimates if you're timed in the right place.
And another fight will start here. We will see a big Strangling Prison attempt from Window. This could be potentially fight winning, at least on this opening point 1. The team is going to reset on off angles. We'll see Naga behind them ready for action. Cal going to be on Wolverine making a switch now. Melio going to find Month and Month going down again early as Cal does as well. Naga from that off angle, unexpected, and that's what you want to see as a duelist getting these picks 56 seconds on. Envy on their heels, Rad walking them back towards the spawn door.
Yeah, right now Jean Grey's doing a little bit too much, and they still get that team up with Melio and Rajaro, so Rad have not lost a step,
Wow,
and Speedery does get Naga, though. Good pick, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they need. They need to get some momentum back in their favor, and that is the pick that could do so, running them back into the side angle. Great walls there. Broken, but it doesn't matter as Rajaro goes. Envy pissed off now, still pressing forwards and walking them through towards that back door, but they cannot hold them as they are out. Trust me, with the Eye of Agamotto, will this work out? I'm not quite sure.
I mean, he's waiting for it. He got grabbed out of the sky as well. They know he has the ultimate as well, so I'm sure they're playing around it. Here it comes.
Nice eye, it gets a ton. Crystals are out though. Will it sustain? Oh, crystals on the side, of Rad. They do see Fate fall, but this is for Envy as Trust Me falls as well at Window on Rajaro. And they are gonna get point 1 as numbers, and there is no teleport. Envy stepping up when necessary.
Yeah, and this is the play that Envy needs to make, and this is why we talk about flexibility of players, is that Cal now is going over to that Wolverine because everything is a lot more front-to-back style when you're against that Phoenix, when you're against Rajaro on that front line. That Wolverine can do so much, but Cal has had to pick up that hero as of recently, and he's done such a good job. But now on the opposite side, Rad, you know, they have potentially a good position in the streets phase of the game because they do have that copy, and Fate obviously on the opposite side will have you know, a lot of value with those Terra Capes, but early crystals pop by Month.
Oh, and Speedery gonna find Melio, and that is the 1v1 that you get a little bit of an ego from, right? As we're building towards ultimate on both sides. Rad gaining up here with Phoenix, but that's about it, as no one else has ult while the dance floor is gone. Cal holding on to this last stand. It could be huge if need be. Not even needing to use it as Level 1 Crook goes down. Can we see a big last stand here from Cal? Not quite necessary, trust me, doing the cap dance, but it won't last long as Speedery gonna find another. Envy found their momentum, and they are using it like a shot of adrenaline.
Yeah, and I think Speedery, you know, obviously a huge pick from him, but on the opposite side, I like how Month is playing now. I think he's using his crystals a lot earlier when Trust Me comes in, not expecting that much damage to happen because there's not as many good Captain America players, I think, in this tournament. So because of that, Month is not expecting these incredibly fast, you know, combinations from both Melio and Trust Me, so he's had to use his crystal a little bit earlier, and I think he's adapting well.
And another ult out for the side of Kaluj, and that gets a ton of the backline. Can they collapse and find some value? Not quite yet, as Speedery's still able to get Naga. Cal onto Rajaro, and they still keep this momentum up, being down in ultimates. Fate gonna launch that Eternal Bond. Did Cal hold on? No, did use that ultimate prior. Window waiting for the Strangling Prison. Month out there right now with the dance floor, keeping the team up. We see Cal trying to find somebody in the off angle, charging those claws on the group wall. You can do that, do not forget. Make sure you're staying at 100 charge at all times. Far more damage for the Wolverine. Cap on the side of Rad, though. Naga coming in with the end song. Melio with the dance. Rajaro, Naga, Melio again are going to sweep out Envy, but there's still enough time for them to come back and have one more fight.
They stagger Speedery here too, 20 seconds left to go. I mean, no portal coming through. Cal now going to switch to it. Okay, maybe they go for the stun and the spawn, though. They know they're going to go for the portal. They group wall up, though, to make sure the stuns from Phoenix from Jean Grey cannot come through. Here they go on the backside. Everybody's trying to body block for it. Does the portal go off?
Yeah, I like this decision here, Cal, just scouting quickly, but I do think that this portal will work. 3 seconds on, they are through. Team behind them now, swapping locations. Now you play this essentially, if you're on the side of Rad, like you're on attack. Play Play on that wall. Do not leave that natural cover. Getting in front of nice out there on the side of Window, combined with Cal, who do find Melio, and that's a good start as they are up now in numbers. Cal still looking for the back line, just forcing out cooldowns. Up on the height, Naga trying to find Speedery. Speedery low. Dance floor goes out. Excuse me. Eternal Bond goes out. Pressed right through the point, and now Nero matches it back. Who's gonna get the next big ult? Kaluj with the eye on a Fate. Will it land? They see Fate, and he does go down. Speedery gonna clean up. Everything's being pressed. Dance floor is out, and so is the dance of the butterfly. 2 dances now will result in 2 KOs.
Yeah, good re-engage there by Envy. They wanted to switch back to Kaluj to be the one to teleport instead of Cal, and right now it's going to be staggering from this point. I mean, they still want to stall it out. If he builds Capful, I mean, they could stall. I mean, they use the greens, still alive. Here's the Capful. They're delaying
walled
for
out though. Potentially, no, not for long. Way to burst that quickly. Trust me, gonna play on point. Oh my goodness, I thought Trust Me almost got to pick their Kaluj. Gonna clean up and peel that back line. Walking in now, Cal spinning to win. We do see a playoff of the portal here for the side. Of Rad now, with Melio trying to get the team there quicker. And they're not going to be able to win this fight, though, as Speedery, Kaluj. Naga finds Speedery, but not for long as Kaluj goes through that portal and returns to sender into Melio.
Yeah, you may be wondering, oh, maybe Month didn't use his ult there, but I think in this game, more than others, in Marvel Rivals, it's better to use your stuff a little bit too early, at least in ranked,
Agreed,
than too late in Month. Committing the ultimate there, Rad. I mean, they could have stalled out for Fate to get ult. It would trust me, it was definitely an overzealous play, but at times you have to go for stuff like that just because in Marvel Rivals you build those ults so quick. Now into this next fight, Rojaro does have that Sonic Seduction, but it's going to be against so much on Team Envy's side because they have Kaluj, because they have Window, so they're able to peel it off, but it will at least create some space for Rad.
Yeah, one thing about Groot that maybe slept on, and we'll get to that in a moment, as we do see the Eternal Bond pressing forward, but the wall is going to help shut that down. Ayabagamoto, is it huge? Melio goes down for Kaluj. Kaluj looking for more, but no, the team is going to reset, utilizing those Loki crystals, and there is some serious pressure. Speedery with a 2-piece. Do I see 3? Going to break down some of these walls and find out it's actually his own teams. And Fate and Rajaro now, trust me, Envy walking them down, utilizing this momentum. But one thing I wanted to call out quickly, Groot is one of those vanguards that takes a ton of damage, really feeds that backline strategist ultimates. You talk about things like Cap, it's more difficult when they're in the backline to heal up intensely. Instead, they're kind of doing their own thing, and that does not allow your strategist to get ult as quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to see Melio pop off now here on Wolverine. I think this is maybe his weakest hero in terms of his flexible hero pool, but we'll see how good he does here with Naga.
And we see a Psionic on a Window, a ton of damage out, but it will not be enough. Window going to turn that right back, very close to strangling. This could be game winning, folks, or at least map bar push winning on a .3. Kaluj trying to get that expulsion off, does not find a ton of value, does get some damage, getting charge. Ult's advantage heavily on the side of Envy now as Rad are falling out. Last stand, is it huge? Cal trying to find some backline pressure and does not manage to make it happen. Going right onto Fate now, does not miss a shot. Yes, Fate falls as Cal, utilizing that Galactic Legend, gets one. Now heading towards Crook, who tries to escape. Cal had eyes on Crook, falls. No strategist left here for Rad. Envy walking Window onto Melio, and they are going to keep this going as Speedery will have that dance to clean up the final push.
Well, this is the tough part, is that they have Captain America, but for like what? You have no dive coming through, walls coming out, trust me, delaying. I mean, if you have the Psylocke, you at least create space for here,
there
but now,
it is.
I mean, but against the Butterflies, you have greens on, you're going to stall, at least for a little bit on the side of Rad.
Naga very low. They need to find that pick, and they do. Ayabagamoto onto the back line. That should be enough, folks. Envy pushes this the entire way, and we will be seeing that triple-triple on defense.
Absolutely, for sure. And Envy, known for what you were talking about earlier, Shib, that triple Vanguard, triple strategist. And to go back to that round, I think what Rad was doing well on first point was, constantly setting up dives with Melio on Psylocke and, on the dive with Trust Me. So right now, it's tough because for Rad, they probably should be playing somebody like Naga playing that Wolverine if they do want to play, to capture that Doctor Strange. That's how you counter these Vanguards, right? These aggressive sort of front-to-back comps at points is that you want to play Wolverine. You want to sort of kidnap that Doctor Strange, make sure he's not in a good position to kind of set up. And I don't know, for Rad, it's a weird spot because they had Naga on Phoenix, on Jean Grey, and you don't want him to switch off of that just because of how good Phoenix is. And for Envy, it was just speedily show.
Yeah.
Like, he was able to go for dives on Psylocke consistently with the Emma team up and get so much value. So you need that Psylocke out there, and that's why Cal switched to Wolverine. Even if he's not as good on it as Speedery, it doesn't matter because as long as you're playing that hero, you're filling the role, and that's what really mattered for Team Envy. For Rad, they didn't have a real answer.
Yeah, we talk about the skill ceilings of heroes being exponential at first and then heavily decaying. You don't need to be the best to get a ton of value, right? It is still a very strong hero, and although it may be marginally different in terms of Cal and Speedery, it's still just a ton of value, and we saw it work out there. But Cal did also make that switch to Star-Lord and get so much value. You see now, folks, if you look over on Rad, they are going to do a damage boost Melio there. I love to see it on the Black Widow, looking up towards the back line. Great idea. Yeah, no, you're right, actually. Instead, going to switch immediately, try to get an early pick, but no, the triple is out. Cal going to be on. Ooh, that Magneto Colluge on the Emma in window is on that Groot, where you can see Month, Nero, and Speedery running a little more duelist damage. Oh, up we go from Naga. That's a big pick on a Cal. Cal trying to bubble out. Will they be able to escape? Great look there from the back line. Oh my goodness! And great wall from the side of Window to help protect.
And that's the value of the Emma team up. You don't have to use it for damage on Magneto. You can use it for survivability. Go invisible for a second, then come back out. It's always so annoying trying to shoot a Vanguard in a situation like that. And right now, Envy, doing a good job on the spawn hold, even though I feel like Rad's comp is not bad against it. It's actually pretty solid.
So funny because Envy has Speedery able to play the Ultron, same with Cal and Nero, and they all play Ultron at an insane level. Out we go with that Eternal Bond. Do we see some sort of shutdown? Ultron trying to keep the team healthy during that moment. Great idea using it more defensively instead of offensively, as you won't find too much value on top of that Eternal Bond. Very low. Whoa. Trust me, going to take out Window. There is no rocket to bring back, although we have seen that. Cal going to take out Melio, though. Nero onto Naga, and this could be a fight back in their favor, and maybe see the Strange come through, or they may hold on, as Window did have ultimate before they got KO'd. That's tough.
Tough indeed. I mean, they're still holding. Trust me, able to get Month, though. So they're slowly working themselves back into it, but the card has not pushed. It's already minute 30 off the clock. Trust me as well, already committed the ultimate. So right now, Naga, with this ultimate, has to go huge, but he's also just got to clean up. No, he's not even getting the eliminations because of how much healing is happening, and Cal gets Crook.
And they are just getting KO'd on point. They're making sure, folks, that when they fall, they are on the point. Do not give that extra space. There's no reason for it, as we will see a Strange potential portal here to keep it close, and then they'll be able to walk back for one more touch. And that is, like you said, a minute 30 off the clock. Are you kidding me? That is why that is so strong. Last time we saw 3 minutes, which was wild. But this time at just about half, the portal's coming in now. Window might lead here with that Strangling Prison. Be ready for it.
Yeah. Oh, did Cal get stunned?
Oh!
Wait, he got stunned?
What? Are you kidding me? Oh, Melio from downtown with the stun finds, oh my, that's going to shut everything down for them. They have to panic to get there.
Yeah, I mean, Wall's here. Here comes Rojaro in the high ground, commits the diamond form. Ultimate's out as well for Speedery, though, from Envy, so they still have a chance.
Yeah, that was disgusting. I can't say that enough. It took me for a shot. Great Strangling Prison, though, and they are going to come back and win this fight, and that's what they're looking for as Window throws that Strangling Prison now. It's just a forced stagger. Buy your time, if possible, onto the final pick. Keep your eyes forward, but everybody does seem to go down. The rest of the team is resetting, but wow, that was an insane stun. It did help push them forward, but remember, folks, a minute on the clock. Rad up in ultimates. Colluge, though, can help shut down some of those strategies.
I wonder if they had 4 cart ship, because the cart moves as fast as possible with 4 people on that objective, or 3.
Yeah, 3, because it's one arrow without anyone on cart, and then as you add people to the cart, yeah, it's so 3 more for 4.
But here we go, off the high ground. I mean, Rojaro Colluge committing the ultimate as well.
And Colluge going to start off with that Psionic Seduction, heading right towards the strategist line. Instead, going to have to return back behind the cart, use that cover for the team, getting driven right back, and that's what big ult here from Cal onto Fade. Although we do see the copy there from level 1, it is keeping the team healthy right back at him. Trust me, and Crook going to find Speedery in window. Can this team maintain position as Trust Me gets Colluge? I'm not sure they can. At this point, it looks like Envy will be giving up point 1, and they'll have to return on point 2 unless they can make their way back. Cal going to think about it. The dash goes in, but it isn't going to last long.
Yeah, they're not leaving.
Ooh, I don't know if I like that.
Oh, no. They commit the ultimate as well, so that's tough for this next fight. But Chip, this first point's always so hard, man. It's so hard to cap out on first point and yourself path. Now that we enter the streets phase of the game, the second phase of the map, you get some more time in the bank, and I think the attack actually can be in a good position, especially with this Groot coming back. Envy, though, does have Speedery, and we've seen how much he does in these neutrals.
Yeah, agreed. I think we have to call that out there. That actually would have touched Month with a decent idea there to get to point with that Fate of Both Worlds, but unfortunately, you forget for a moment that at that point, Trust Me was on Groot. So throwing up those walls and shutting off that angle, the extra couple yards was all it took to get that point. So well played, Rad again. Good idea, just was not put into fruition. Speedery on the high side now. Melio now dropping back. Remember, folks, you can melee like crazy with the Phoenix and deal a ton of damage to a group of whole team. Naga going to get tackled, and that's a good pick there. Speedery combo from Cal. They are going to keep up. And Speedery now starts that dance of the butterfly. Teams are separating. We do see level 1 Crook escape, but at this point they have grabbed the point, and that's important here as Envy holding point. Even if they lose this, will make the team go back to get this thing scooching forward. Melio on a Month, though. Out goes Rojaro trying to get the team tranced up, and they are. Melio going to clean up Speedery, and another as Window falls, Cal falls, and they are going to find all 6.
Yeah, and they are. They're getting the cart forward even more. 1 minute, 30 seconds left to go, but that was so many ults committed. Both Stratus ults. They do have cap to at least delay for a little bit. And I like Jean Grey, don't get me wrong, I like Phoenix, but I don't know, I kind of favor Envy in terms of having the Psylocke Emma team up. I would like to see Melio maybe swap over to that. It's a tough choice, though, because I don't think Phoenix and Psylocke as the best, 2 heroes that are available isn't necessarily a wrong decision here for the side of Rad either.
Yeah, and they have double dance for the damage boost. Oh my goodness, Rad is going crazy right now. Excuse me, single dance if they copy off of the Luna. My fault there. But Naga is going to try to clean this, and they do. That's point 2, folks. We have a serious game here. Can Rad shove it all the way through as they get more time on the clock? Envy going to all of which make sure they reset to their spawn because their whole team on the side of Rad was ready to push them if not. So make sure you do that. If your team does fall, reset as a squad.
And Shiv, I think the biggest thing is that Speeder is being marked right now by Melio, and I love this swap up that I was talking about earlier. I want to see Naga on that Wolverine instead of Melio. Now that's happened. Melio back over to the Phoenix, the Jean Grey.
Yeah.
And well, trust me, getting picked is huge from Speedery, but right now I actually don't mind this in terms of just hard marking Speedery. Maybe a little bit too far there for Trust Me. Ultimate's not even there. Stratus Ultimate's at least not up for Rad. Another pick off by Naga.
Yeah, that was an insane Feral Leaf there, but not too much value. Kaluj going to try to get the team picked off. A lot of teams will elect to try to hide with Emma and pop out looking directly at the backline, not allowing them to use those ultimates with the silence there. So tried to make that happen there. Unfortunately, the team was big brain and was prepared, but Cal owning this space. At this point, you hold as high as you can, allowing your team to reset before you do get walled off on that spawn door and unable to touch on point 3. Notice that they are always capping point first, folks. Make sure you do that in your ranked games. Do not allow that cart to push in the neutral. And that is some more damage out as Envy is using Muff. They see that copy. They are going to walk it right through. Nero ready, Speedery ready, and on the side of Rad, you have 4, so almost 5 for the ult advantage, so this could go Rad's way. Will Envy be able to pull this out, or will Rad push this into OT?
Yeah, nice kite at the very beginning of that fight. I mean, walking away, making sure they disengage that Fate of the Worlds here into the sky. With that song is Melio, waiting for the very last second.
Wow, I think they called out to break that object in front of him in that moment. That was insane, but Nero going to start dancing now. Everybody holding on as Cal's going to spin to win on top of that ultimate, dodging the Psionic as much as possible the last millisecond. Great shield, but no, what a pull there. The shield just going slightly in front. That is a tough look. Window just falling back a little too much. Cal, though, with a 2-piece. Can Cal clutch up? Will they see more? Out goes the... Oh, the dance! Window cleans up on Trust Me. Cal and Speedery and Window said this game should be ours. 20 seconds left as Rad may have to start teleporting or get prepared to. Speedery going to clean up Rojaro. The stagger is real. Can they find one more? Or does Cal fall? Wow, got to like 10% HP.
Yeah, Cal on that Star-Lord has been phenomenal. I think that it's impressive what he's able to do on so many different heroes in this current patch. Trust Me, going for the portal, they're able to get it off because of that block in case the stun came through.
Yeah, great touch there, able to press through. A lot of teams just preparing. Kaluj try to find where that would be. Instead, going to hold on to the point. Notice, folks, there's a potential here, even if they lose this fight, to come back and touch one more time, but it is very, very unlikely. Right now, numbers dead even. Rad, level 1 Crook, going to make that copy out. Level 1 Crook going to find one early. Onto Speedery now. Window up in the sky, looking for the dunk, where the team has separated. Shield gets blocked. Kaluj, though, on it. Trust Me. Numbers evened out again. Speedery down. Trust Me down. Who's going to get more value? We see the dance floor out. We see Cal on the Wolverine now with another switch. Very low, but does pop that passive. Window onto level 1 Crook. Window again with a big pick. Fate, now Melio onto Speedery, and they are holding on. And it looks like right now Rad, heavy up in numbers, up in ultimates. They could do this, shove this to OT with no time on either side. A 1-minute push, great work here. Trust Me, holding on to that door. We do see the Psionic just to buy some time, and that is enough. 3-3 game.
3-3 the game. Trust Me over to the Venom instead of the Captain America. Maybe more comfort pick as well. And I think that's a smart play. I think what we saw at the end, I mean, it was exactly as I called out Shib earlier on. I don't want to brag too much, but that switch over to Melio, going back over to that Psylocke, at least having him play that flexible pull. You need to play Psylocke at least at some point. The Wolverine, I think it's a little bit different. Maybe I would like to see if Naga could add that to his hero pool or something, or at least more of that. He did play the Wolverine, so that was smart to have Naga go over to the Wolverine in the Streets phase, and then towards the end swap to Jean Grey yet again because they can deal with Speedery. So once you have that Psylocke back on the board for Melio's side instead of playing Phoenix and having Naga play that hero, it enabled them a lot more. And I think that they're sort of counter-swapping based on what they see on the other side for Envy if they have that Groot, depending on if they want to play that Wolverine or not.
Yeah, I think that's why you have to wear big hats. Got a big brain, brother. Great call out there, as we will see the OT, and I have no doubt once again, this is where Envy shines, right? It's all about that triple, and they don't mind being an OT here because they will run the composition they just ran. They found success with it for a minute and a half, and a minute and a half is more than what they've got left, as both teams with 0 on the clock will be reset to a single minute, folks. Remember that. If there's no time on the clock, you are reset to 1 minute. Now, it's all about who finds the most success with these ultimates. If you lose your first fight, you cannot overcommit or the game will be lost.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if either of these teams on the attack can find that momentum. Rad will be on defense first, having Trust Me back over to the Captain America. Melio over to the Psylocke. Naga going to be on Phoenix as well. And for Envy, they have to know the situation they're on and playing that triple Vanguard or triple Strategist as well to make sure they can counter Melio. That's definitely smart, but that Jean Grey, I think, should be able to do a lot here if Naga can get his value.
Oh, and there you go. Talking about this composition earlier. Window going to be on that Venom. Kalu's going to maintain on the Emma. Cal now on, I love it, on the Ultron. So many switches here. Month is going to be, that's that damage boost composition. So now they've completely changed it up on attack. They want to take them by surprise and mess with their compositional defense, right? So now they're used to what they've been going against this whole map. Switching up everything is going to mess with the brain. Rajaro, nice pull there. Cal still putting pressure on, but not overcommitting. Just trying to get that ult as fast as humanly possible with the damage boost. We see a drop back here from Window, using that cooldown to escape, as we talked about. Good sleep there on a level 1, or excuse me, on a Trust Me. Die back from Speedery. No one falling. Everyone playing hyper defensively. Very smart, very safe, and instead just trying to ensure they can get these ults and have an ult fight. If you fall early, you are in trouble, and as we say that, very low here, but good escape again by Window. Cal trying to find an effort off in the right side angle. Damage boost on top of Cal. Shield goes out for Trust Me. Trust Me trying to take Cal out of the sky with Melio, and they do. Trust Me now on a Nero. Window going to find Naga. Melio and Fate, though, with a 2-piece. Now, at this point, they've got to get back here quickly. It may be the danger zone, but that's not a horrendous push, folks. But it is not game-winning push, if you will.
God. I mean, Portal is going to be too late here now from Cal. See, that's the problem with playing triple strategist, man, is that Rad, they knew the situation they were in. I mean, they played it so smart. They just played for ultimates, right? We saw how much damage that MV was doing in that throughout the game, and they weren't finding any pickoffs, right? Because of that, because of how much damage downrange they were getting. This is why, at times, I think early on, everybody rates Punisher as such a good character. But right now, I feel like the difficulty is, if you're playing for that composition, especially triple strategist, first of all, you're stealing from each other's ult charge, right?
Sure.
Because everybody's sort of healing the same people.
Sure.
You're not going to be able to get his ult charge or your ultimates as fast. And Rad, understanding the situation they're in, want to play it slow, play for one fight, just win it. And that's why they built up their strategist ultimates first. Just go in with level 1 Crook, commit the Eternal Bond after the copy onto Fate, and then they were just able to win off of that because Envy was too busy trying to build up their own ultimates and sort of fighting against each other in terms of ultimate charge. And maybe they could find a pickoff with Speedery, but that just didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, and we saw there, Trust Me with Melio. I think that combination needs to be spoken about. Up in the sky, we had an Ultron, right? You see a Cap jump up, and you think, oh, it's not going to be enough damage. But when your Psylocke is prepared in that moment to combo with you, it was flawless, it was beautiful, and there was no way to react. It was instantaneous, and that was all they needed to push through and sweep the rest. Now, we've got to see what Envy can do on defense. They have held right at the door before, and that portal needs to come in very quickly. That is portalable. You can come back with 2 fights as Envy here. That's why I said it's not a horrendous, game is not over. I would love to see this push into a very close OT as Envy now is on the defense, and out we go again with a snipe. Do we see Widow find one? Not quite yet with a damage boost. And a likely switch off here. Yes, now into Punisher against that triple, like you said.
This is what Envy would do, right, in this situation. So I want to see if they can actually make it work, but they struggled before, so they make it adaptations in the moment.
What? Oh, Cal! Cal telling us during the last tournament it was his first time ever on Magneto when he got a 5-piece. Looking very clean right there. Again, Speedery on the height. Now on the Ultron. What do you know? Another teammate on the Ultron again, but instead holding right at this door. 26 seconds on. This thing has not moved an inch. Team can't get out of that door at all, and the strategist building as much as possible. This is heavily a strategy that they not only have invented, but perfected for Envy.
Yeah, I mean, these root walls are going to be huge. You have to break them as quickly as possible. With the Punisher, you want to break it a little bit faster for the side of Rad. Brooks built the copy.
Oh, this is huge.
Get it off, he gets stunned.
Up we go with Speedery, using the Rage of Ultron. Met right back, though, and that is a great, Eternal Bond, as Naga now hiding behind point. Psionic out for Kaluj, onto 3, this is huge, and immediately with a Strangling Prison, they are going to follow up. Cal, Window, Speedery, find the entire team. OT ticking down. Will this be the end? Insane combination there by Envy.
Crook could not get the copy up, use his ultimate because of that ult from Window. in what plays by Cal to find Fate earlier on. Usually Fate is an incredible cloak and dagger player, made a slight mistake, and after that, the team sort of collapsed. I think at the moment, Envy is looking up to the challenge, man. They're going up in this series, or at least tie it up, rather, on that map. It was a huge map pick for Envy. Now we're all tied up 1-1.
Yeah, that was awesome to watch. For those who are maybe playing Magneto and are more concerned about his damage, there is a combination for those. You know, it'll help you a little bit. Make sure you left-click initially, okay? When you have done that, melee to cancel that animation after it launches, and then while your melee swing is almost finished after it has connected, immediately right-click. That amount of damage, which you actually saw Cal do, didn't even need to utilize that right-click. It is so much damage, and it's so bursty. That is how you get max damage up close with Magneto. Really strong play, but yeah, that pick was huge off the rip.
Well, remember, we interviewed Cal as well. I mean, he was talking about how that was his first time playing Magneto back in Stage 1 when they did that Triple Vanguard
so funny
composition. So, I mean, he's come a long way, and I think that's the biggest reason this team has found success is the whole team's leveled up. And I think Cal has been playing so well in this Ignite mid-season.
Yeah, I think the combination there, we saw Groot, we saw Magneto, we saw obviously the ult initiation there, which forced out a strategist ult, which I think is strong by the side of Speedery with the Rage of Ultron. But that is what Groot does best, especially in these triple compositions. It is all about making sure you combine. You do not have enough raw damage alone to be able to pressure through a strategist ult, but when you have a combination of something like Magneto, with Dunk coming in through with that wall behind, it is just too much to handle, and that was massive.
It was, and I think
Window.
This is going to be an incredible game, man. This incredible series
So
tied
fun.
up 1-1, Europe versus North America for $160,000.
Yeah.
The overall prize pool of the midseason was $500K, $500,000. And that's a lot of money that you would lose if you get second place today.
Yeah.
Right? 80K
Right in
is
half.
second place, right?
Yeah.
So that's massive for the side of Envy if they can close it out here. I think Kaluj was talking about on X, formerly Twitter, that he wants to buy a Rolex if they win today. So
that's so funny.
That's hilarious. And I think that Team Envy has a good chance to win today, but so do Rad. I mean, they're looking a lot better versus Envy today. This is the best they've looked.
By far.
Yeah. I mean, that was a banger. Close, very close game, 4-3. Maybe domination is going to be Envy's weakness moving forward, or it could just be they're not that great on Celestial Husk.
Yeah, we're going to see a convergence first. I'm curious where it is going to line up here as we head towards Game 3, 1-1 right now. I know in the past when it comes to Envy, they've done Central Park. So that's, a decent convergence map. I'm not sure that we'll see that on the side of Rad. Rad in the past, Hall of Dajalia, right? So that is another convergence that they could pick. They've apparently liked in the past. Very good Loki map, very good, more open single lane, like more open initially, at least different angles. And then you head towards a single lane on point 2, and then it's very enclosed, more brawly on point 3. I think it leads into their playstyle, so I do think Rad will likely choose Dajalia.
I think so as well. I think in terms of the ban phase, maybe that Loki protection wasn't really worth it, right? Because they lose that Luna Snow as well, and they had to play Cloak and Dagger instead. Cloak and Dagger is still really good, but obviously I think Trust Me loves to play that character. I think we're sort of learning the very, very hyper specifics of this patch, of this meta in the Ignite mid-season, and it's incredibly hard to maybe play certain heroes. You give up one thing, you get another, but like the certain characters that are played right now in terms of playing that Psylocke, playing it with that Luna Snow enables her a lot more on that map, as well as the hyper specifics, these sort of micro decisions the team makes at a sort of macro level, I suppose, that can change the dynamic of the game.
Yeah, and it's fun to watch that, right? Like, that's what I love about, well, we could talk about this, as I always do, where this game has such frequent patches. The devs are incredible. They're always watching and listening. I think we have, like you said, learned the real intricacies of this patch now with these insane compositions, even like the Jeff composition, which is finding a ton of success in this tournament. And I know a lot of Jeff mains are stoked about that and telling everybody in ladder about that. But I think, yeah, things are very intricate, but that changes as of a few days ago, which we are obviously not playing on that patch. But how crazy is that? A whole new patch as we look at these stats. Kaluj, 18, Speedery, 22 finals. Are you joking me?
See, Ship, this is where I think that in this matchup, I think it's if you're mirroring, I feel like it's a lot more important to look at stats, right? In this mirror specifically, it's easier for us, I think, as viewers to notice, like, okay, who is the better player? And because we just have a straight up head-to-head, I mean, we want to take, maybe you take Speedery, comparing him on the opposite side to Melio because they play similar heroes. Very, very similar damage. You see final hits, though, because Speedery is able to play so much Psylocke throughout the entire map, able to get a lot more done.
That's a great call out. Obviously, Cal, the funny thing to mention, if we're talking another duelist, you talk about all the different heroes. We saw Magneto. We saw Wolverine. We saw Star-Lord. We saw, the list could go on. And throughout the map alone, just such a diverse hero pool. Still having 14 finals and 34k damage, almost 35 is wild. But Nero, another one of those heroes that can, or another one of those players, excuse me, that can run Ultron as a hero. A duelist converted into a strategist. Luna Snow fits right into that.
Absolutely, and this is the problem I think with that, with the ban system for the side of Rad. I mean, you give up the Luna Snow and you're letting Nero play.
80K.
Yeah. I mean, we look back at those stats again. I mean, it was just too much value that Luna Snow found. I mean, he was able to heal constantly because of the Snowflake onto the Psylocke, making sure that they win the Psylocke duels. That's maybe why Melio didn't even want to take the Psylocke matchup too much, because you're going against a Psylocke that has the Luna Snowflake the whole time. So there's so many resources being pumped into Speedery, and it's because of somebody like Nero who got Luna Snow in that ban pick phase. Yeah,
there's a lot of great cooldowns that Luna has that are impactful, right? But we talk about Crystal being especially impactful in the duelist duels, and we'll mention that once more. That Crystal allows that off-angle 1v1s to go heavily in the favor of the Luna side, and Envy really played off that as they did ban Luna for Rad. Wow, great plays again. I like that start there, those pulls from Cal. Also, the Bucky. Cal was on Bucky, I forgot.
Right, yeah, Cal was on Bucky because Jean Grey got banned, because that was another priority ban of Rad. And I think these are fine bans in a vacuum, and it's tough because I kind of do agree with Trust Me, the fact that you have to make map-specific bans. I think it's definitely the play. However, I mean, I would argue on this map, I don't know if I really value Loki as much as playing a Luna Snow, for example, right? That was kind of what we learned, I think, from that map. It's up for debate, obviously, still, because Loki can't do well in that map. But once we enter the streets phase, the second phase of the map, once we enter that third phase on defense, it's harder for that Loki to really position correctly. And for Luna Snow, I think you just get so much healing downrange, and you have obviously one of the best ultimates in the game. And I would like to see, I think what we saw out of one of the teams actually eliminated in terms of OUG with, I believe it's Zhao Zhang, the Loki player of the side of OUG. They would do so many like sneak copy plays. Remember that? They would go invisible.
Utilize that invis.
Yeah, they would copy Luna Snow. And I think that's the biggest thing that we missed out on the opposite side. There was no copies of Luna Snow on the opposite side for Rad. And
not as much, for
sure. I would like to see that maybe be like the next evolution for them, right? Go invisible, go for the copy in the Luna Snow. It's harder versus these good teams who are constantly spamming for Lokis that are invisible if they do go for that copy. But, I mean, you don't want to copy Cloak and Dagger when Luna Snow's available.
Yeah, and when Magneto's in, it's much more difficult, especially if it's not matched on the opposition. But I'm with you. I think that needs to be a called-out play, though, correct? Because it does require your team to play slow. Yeah, and that's something that, the teams are working on, and they're still developing as we find out new counters to different strategists and new ways to take them out of their ultimate, including things like Blade now, which may have impact in these future patches. Obviously, Blade, for those who do not know, not in this current patch of this tournament, but make sure you keep that in mind, that anti-heal will change things up.
So we are 2 patches ago, right, Chip, from the current patch, I believe.
Yeah, we recently, the way to think of this is the Wolverine reduced patch.
Right, yes, and exactly that was a little bit for obviously the viewers at home, but because we want to make sure competitive integrity is here, we want to make sure that the players have a fair and balanced sort of environment and things aren't constantly changing on them. And that's why we play on like a tournament client where these guys can, practice over and over again, get at least a little bit more scrim hours on certain heroes.
Yeah, and it's just funny, I wanted to call it. It is Hall of the Jolly. They did end up choosing that. So that is a map that they do like. Rad is going to be playing very aggro, and I think that, to be honest, Envy plays pretty well on this map too. I think their hero pool favors this map as well. So I think both teams have a very similar map pool that they pull from. They both like Central Park as well. So I'm excited to watch this. I mean, what do you think? What we have noticed, and something I wanted to mention on the last map that I do think hinders the triple is that random Strange ban. And honestly, the idea was brought to me by Trust Me when he mentioned that maybe Strange is worth banning on things like Yggdrasil, where you can spawn trap in, where you can run that triple, or things like Central Park, where you always get Central Park. For those who don't remember, is that map where you do have that initial take. You got to get the point first, and then you walk Ratatasker, the big squirrel there. If you didn't know that, now you do. You always get that Strange portal back to point. So banning Strange has some validity, and I don't think it's a horrible idea.
No, and I think to maybe add on to that point, that you make a fantastic point, which Trust Me about that, is that, I mean, these third ban, fourth ban, you always are kind of like, okay, what do we want to ban, right? Because the first 2 kind of make sense, usually targeting some of the strongest heroes in the game. Once you enter that third and definitely fourth ban, it's always up for debate, right? You're always thinking, who do we want to ban to make sure that we can take home this trophy.
Oh my, every time I see it.
It's so beautiful.
I get chills. You know what I mean? Look at that thing. It is beautiful, and it is big. I mean, that is no joke. It's not a small trophy, folks. You will see.
I would know small.
That
thing ain't small.
We're pretty tall if we're next to each other.
Huge.
You know what I mean?
We're
We can trick everyone.
Speaking
That's
about
the beauty.
huge, Kaluj, one of the biggest men here. Not that really has anything to do with the game. I don't know.
It's
Segway.
it's an aura piece, right? It's intimidating.
You ever drive on a Segway before?
Never.
Never?
I feel like I got the balance, but
You got the balance?
Yeah,
Dude, one time I rode a Segway in Washington, D.C., and I ate shib, to say the least, man. I ate shib there. That was brutal, for sure. Segways are hard to ride. They're just two handlebars and you go down. What's the ones without the handlebars? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't even know what they're called. Hoverboards or something like that.
I don't know. It's those old rich kids that like lean forward. They're doing the plank, the vertical plank. But
what do you think, real quick, though? So we're looking at this team. I don't think that we need to see too much of a change on the band side of almost either team, but what do you think would give them an advantage? I think that was a very, just fought battle. It was a well-fought battle. It was anyone's game.
In hindsight, because hindsight, is 2020, I feel like it was still super close. So, like you said, it wasn't any massive mistakes. It just was towards the end. Like, I feel like if we're going to play Loki, I just need to not see that many mistakes out of my Loki player. And I hate to see it, like, Fade just kind of going down a couple times earlier on. Was Fade playing Loki early on the map, or am I crazy? I don't think
I have to double check. I mean,
was
I
it
know.
Crook?
Well, we saw Monthfall a few times there, too, from the dive as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think the Loki players right now are not expecting as much damage coming through. Here's that Luna Protect that we see from Rad instead of the Loki. I think that that's kind of what they're changing. I think Loki is very, very good. Don't get me wrong, but Luna might be a little bit more valuable. Here comes the Loki band on the opposite side, as well as the Mantis to get rid of Rad in that triple res composition. Both teams getting rid of it when they get rid of Adam and stuff as well, considering Cal has been so good. But that's the problem when you don't get rid of Mantis, is that you, like we saw, you get to play that Mantis with the Ultron, which honestly I don't think Rad played bad against. Like, they did fine. So honestly, fine to get rid of triple on both sides in terms of how these teams are going about it, just in different ways, but they're both accomplishing the same goal. And Jean Grey getting removed from Rad now.
Yeah, I was seeing the audience mention a lot and ask me the question of, why are they not banning Jean? And you know what? Here's your answer. They are now. In almost every single game here, at least against Envy. So
it's the age-old strategy. They're also removing speedily on Psylocke. So get rid of Cal in terms of Phoenix. Get rid of the speedery Psylocke. It makes sense.
Cal as well on the Warlock, which Cal also plays Warlock. They are heavily attacking the duelists here on these band phase for the side of Rad and Envy. So going after the strategist a little more so.
If we think about it this way, speedily can play both Psylocke, play Human Torch at a high level, getting rid of those two, and then like you said, getting rid of Cal and Adam Warlock. So both of those here are going towards him. So respect towards those four players. On the opposite side for Rad in terms of their bans, getting rid of, I believe, was it Magneto, right? Making sure they can't go for bubble plays, making sure that they don't have Rajaro playing his comfort pick, and then also getting rid of Human Torch because that character is disgusting.
Sure.
We've seen how much it can be done via Naga in the sky. Yeah, he does so much on Human Torch, and getting rid of the Loki and Mantis, so priority on strategist is always a staple of Envy.
Agreed. And for those who maybe are confused about the bans, notice they did just switch sides. They will actually make the switch, so now when you look at the screen from now on, the bans will actually be above the team that cannot play those heroes. Make sure you keep that in mind. It's a little tricky, but I like the way it does that. It shows who they're starting to ban, and then it'll swap over cover.
Good point. And Chip, both teams focusing on both Emma and Luna.
Yeah.
I know Emma got kind of nerfed slightly in the last patch.
Sure.
Why are they still playing it from your perspective?
Emma is incredibly versatile. Also, that Psionic Seduction ultimate sets up very similarly to something like Groot, right? It is a lead-in ultimate that allows your team, and it shuts down strategists prior, which you'll find sometimes a Loki that's copying. If you get that seduction on Loki while copying, it is very difficult to press the Q button.
We saw that on Nero. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's happened a few times. So, yeah, Emma's just really strong. The laser, incredibly powerful, does also work, and now charge recently, in a few patches back, you can actually charge off of Groot walls, and Groot's getting more play. She is a tank buster and a dive brawl destroyer. So just very, very fun. Obviously a big fan of Emma myself.
We're seeing some Hella again. I mean, we saw this in the 100 Thieves series against Rad, and we saw Delena do a ton. We'll see if Cal can do the same. This map is pretty long range. Maybe Hella's the pick if you can't play Jean Grey, because we talked about those two heroes.
I agree with that. I think Cal said, all right, stop taking my Jean. I'll just play Hella instead. A very similar hero, obviously. Teams are electing to choose Jean far more than Hella now. Up we go. Trust me, playing hyper aggro, using those cooldowns to escape. You can just see the juggling here. The movement is insane, and the animation cancels on Cap are so much fun to watch, but also just terrifying to go against, as Speedery heavily marking now. Ooh, the backline getting destroyed, just decimated there. Nero cannot even react Well done again. This Trust Me Melio combo. Window gonna find Melio though and trade a one back, but it is not a strategist. And Cal falls. Rajaro finds Kaluj. Naga on the window. The teleport needs to come through.
4 eliminations in that fight for Naga. That portal coming through, like you said, Shib, and it's the strategist. So that means one Cal is gonna have to swap back to Cloak and Dagger because they swapped roles and swapped strategist and a Vanguard.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to do that in ladder as well, although it requires a little bit of communication. Stay in comms, folks. Oh, Trust Me was down to 12 HP, able to escape that. Wild that just happened. Month getting dove upon again. Speedery 1 HP, but what an escape. Bubble goes out, burns that cooldown. Naga finds a 2-piece Melio on now onto Kaluj, and that is going to be the point as Rad are looking dominant.
Naga, man. How many eliminations in a row has he gotten? That's like 8 eliminations. Naga given no respect in the ban phase, right? Able to play Jean Grey. He's played so well on Jean Grey, and you can see exactly why he can, you know, pop off on that hero. I think it's going to be a scary matchup. Envy now having to swap to Bucky. We'll see how that pans out, but I think how Rad played on Domination, and especially on this map, should be pretty solid with the Jean Grey matchup into Bucky. You got to feel confident about that, especially now that you have Speedery over to the Star-Lord instead of on his normal Psylocke. So Rad doing solid here in the ban phase.
And we begin again, and beautiful call out, my friend Cal now over on the Bucky. Gonna find level 1, make that 2 as Fate goes down to Cal. Trying to find some positioning here. They're gonna burn that, and that should be another ult utilized with not much effectiveness. Cal, make that 3. Why not get 4, buddy, as Kaluj cleans up Rajaro.
Well, this is what I was talking about, respect towards Naga not being there because he's able to play the heroes that he wants. Envy's strategist, Month and Nero, not given any respect either, but the fact they're able to play both Loki and Luna in that matchup. And level 1 Crook, unfortunately, getting picked off on the backside. It kind of happened previously with both Fate and Crook. This backline on these more payload objective maps, it's a lot harder for them to stay alive.
But I will give some congratulations for them not overcommitting too many ults, obviously just using Naga there for the most part. Melio going out with the dance of the butterfly. Crystals are going to pop, and down goes Melio. Month with some good patience and understanding. Notice you just got to look towards the center of the circle. You'll see a little circle of where Psylocke will appear, and unable to use anything for a millisecond. Just got to react then, and they do capitalize off that. Cal, Speedery, excuse me, is going to be playing. Oh, Naga is on one right now with another pick. Naga going to try to retreat, is going to find an open available just piece of that building as it is destroyed. And Trust Me, with ult up, going to try to chase down Naga and allow that initiation with some extra HP.
Yeah, and they're constantly changing it up. I mean, you can't even take out Naga because he has the self-heal on Jean Grey on top of the Snowflake. So they've rotated that Snowflake over to him. He's able to live. Delays come through from Window. That was a late and kind of strange. And also the Legendary from Speedery. Are they going to change compositions? Maybe Window's over. Okay, Window's going over to Groot. Speedery's going over the Iron Fist. That makes sense why they would commit ultimates in that fight.
Yeah, I knew there was a reason. Those mistakes, especially at that scale, won't happen. So, you know, when that many people are overcommitting, so definitely a decision to switch compositions and not just worry too much about that ult usage and just hope a miracle happened with those initial ultimates. Out we go now. Tackled right in. Melio got very low, but Cal trying to hold this off angle. Notice the HP not going anywhere as Cal is using a ton of those cooldowns to just get that additional HP. Patient here we go as Phoenix from Naga lands. Does not get too much value, does burn some of those walls. The Window patient on those walls, putting the new ones down. Trust Me, gonna break a few and now head towards the back line. And the off-angle push gets stuck though. Does Trust Me pay for it? No, they do not. Now right on to the strategist.
Well, here's the dive from Speedery onto Naga. Oh no, goes down, but quick takes down Speedery on the backside. They're still delaying. Month has a lot of pressure from both Trust Me and Melio. No greens here. How are they still alive? The pocket is healing, or the pocket is there, and they can't go down.
Cal gonna find Melio now. A numbers up in the side of Envy with spawn advantage, and bang, Kraken impact. Can they collapse? Will they get more? Not quite yet. They've got to put a ton of damage out, but the dance floor is there to match, and they will not be able to find that reset. But the team is walking backwards now, coming right back with Trust Me leading that path. Remember, you got to follow your cap if you want that additional HP, and he is leading that path through. But Fate falls from Kaluj. Trust Me directly onto the strategist, patty caking. Level 1 Crook on a Kaluj again. Now they are even in numbers, and Speedery towards the back line with the fist, using those cooldowns, using the height, using that ultimate. Nero going to collapse onto Naga, and they are going to walk them back. Well done on the defense of Envy.
What an extended hold. I mean, another benefit of both having Iron Fist is that, you know, a lot of people complain about this hero is that, you know, the damage isn't necessarily the highest at points, but Speedery getting so much value out of the kick combination onto Naga. Also just can delay that objective as long as he wants to, sort of like a pseudo tank, sort of like we've seen on Wolverine. Melio, meanwhile, hiding on the backside, but we've seen so many incredible plays out of both Month and Nero. This seems to me like the best backline of the game.
And Speedery on the block. Rajaro now using that ultimate, trying to make sure they can get the initiation. Great utilization of the walls there from Groot, who is not going to allow the back line to fall. Melio tries to get on height, does manage to do so. Rajaro going to see how they are charging up right there on those walls, but the space is taken now. Right back as Kaluj is at 75. Once you get to 100, your laser will actually deal double damage. Fate, though, onto Kaluj. Speedery having to retreat, waiting for the team. And Naga is going to burn some of these. Fate now onto Speedery. Window is out, and the team is falling as Rad is getting point 2.
Yep, and I think that they're getting value out of just having this Ludus Snow. I mean, we've seen, how many times, Shib, have we seen Crook find a pickoff? It's 1, 2 times now in that middle phase of the map. Now we're entering the third one for Team Envy and Rad actually have a solid time bank to work with here. Okay, and now Melio is preparing to use this dance of the butterfly, and that is going to be very impactful when the team only has 1 point left. Envy will have the strategist line of Nero and Month not quite there yet to copy up and use ults. Kaluj going to start off with the Psionic, does manage to follow up onto level 1 Crook. Speedery directly now onto the cap, just punching away, and Fate. Speedery looking different here on Iron Fist, and that is what you want to see when you know, Iron Fist right now is getting a bad rap, but I do think Fist, especially when you have a Luna, is strong, and Fist can be dangerous in a player's hand like Speedery. Yeah, it can be for sure, and for Rad's side is Melio pops that dance to the butterflies, trying to commit onto Month, and they're able to take him down with a dive. Huge pickoff from Melio.
Nero, though, turning it right back into Melio and says, not in my house, not my strategist. Again, onto the front line of Crook. And front line, because Crook is playing up, but did have ultimate, and that is exactly why. Switching over to damage boost to try to collapse, trying to make the team make a play. Speedery forcing out that ultimate is good, but did have to use theirs as well. Now, Cal going to try to get a yoink onto the front line. And does not. Naga keeping the pressure up. Remember, when you come up with a strategist ultimate, you can melee for days on the Phoenix and deal a ton of damage and apply passes to everyone getting that ult incredibly quickly. Trust me, gonna walk them in, and that's one of those cooldowns that allow you to melee like this, as you see Naga meleeing forever. Now switching over to range, trying to pop some of those passes. Great shield again by Window, doing an incredible job of stuffing that Psionic Seduction, but as I say that, the backline very close to falling from Rajar.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of playing it slow. Melio's going to take down Window as well, and this swap over to that Wolverine's huge. Naga from the sky as well, commits onto 1, and right now, still controlling that objective. Envy's going to have to go for the respawns right before overtime, so at least they won't have a 12-second spawn window.
Crook onto Speedery with a bit of a stagger here. 2 seconds for Kaluj, but 5 for Speedery. And the tackle is very much going to be important here onto Trust Me, who will be all over those strategists on the final point. And when it's this close and this hectic, that much distraction means point. And it is scary, but we do have an ultimate here from Melio, which could stuff everybody into a corner. Cal trying to find Trust Me, gets tackled into that corner like I had talked about. Melio with a 3-piece walking them in. Is this going to be it now? They are holding for days. Window hoping they can dance. Trust Me now onto Speedery with the block. Great patience to wait out those attacks, and that is enough as Rad gets all 3 points.
And Melio's an absolute star. He, like you called, Trust Me about to fall to Cal, was there to save him with that last stand, and this guy really, we can't talk about him enough. I feel like doesn't get enough shine for the side of Rad. People talk about how Envy has the best duelists in the games. At times, I would maybe disagree because Melio has that flexibility that Speedery does, and pretty much at the same level that he plays as well. So I think he's just such a good player for this team for Rad. Definitely doesn't get talked about enough, and we'll keep talking about him, obviously, if he does stuff like that.
I mean, could you have written this more perfectly? We are 1-1, folks. Rad with a hard-fought overtime battle gets .3. Will we see Envy push this to OT once again? This has been so much fun to watch, and I'm only expecting more. Bring it, these two teams.
And I know that I was talking to you about this earlier, Shiv. The crowd is rooting for Team Envy, out of all people, I think. Well, they just want good Marvel Rivals. I think that's the biggest thing. You know, we have, a lot of guests as well, a lot of fans coming through, coming to the studio to watch the games as well, a lot of NetEase developers and stuff. So everybody here wants to see just some good Marvel Rivals, right? That's what we're here for at the end of the day, and man, we are seeing that in spades.
I'm having so much fun here with you, brother, as we push into Envy on the attack. The composition going to be showing Window on that Venom. Cal maintaining the presence on the Bucky, and there's not much change outside of that, but I am looking forward to seeing how this changes. Trust Me right now has been a problem with Melio on that back line, and they need to find a solution that works. He is un-KOable.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, that dive has been phenomenal, and Rad are kind of doing exactly what I feel like they should be doing, right? Making those swaps last second, keeping Naga as well, and Phoenix is always a solid play. Melio's having to kind of flex over to different things. Just the only difficulty is when they have to play that Wolverine, but Melio, it seems like he's kind of not lost a step either on that hero.
Yeah, Psylocke is so scary, and we talk about the combination with Cap. When Cap initiates popping them up, it does allow Psylocke to have a few free shots. It makes the juking more difficult, and that's a ton of damage on a window instantaneously. Not even able to use a ton of those cooldowns as Speedery falls, and that is a forced reset relatively instantly for the side of Envy, as Rad is showing up whenever they need to.
Yeah, I think this is the scary part, is that if you give Naga that Phoenix, if you give him the Jean Grey, I mean, he's going to do this. And he's done it on attack, specifically their first point. Naga, same thing. Jean Grey really pops off here, especially on these first points with these long ranges. That's the tough part about Bucky, is I feel like in these neutral trades, Bucky does do a lot, but Jean Grey as well to shut down divers a little bit more effectively at points.
And let the games begin. Speedery on a Naga early. That's one up for the side of Envy. They will use that pressure to walk in here, but the ult gets traced right back from Rad. Month finds Fate though. Post ult, and they are collapsing. Cal, make it 2. Do I hear 3? Waiting it out for Melio. Melio, great understanding of what was happening there, dropping back Cal. Still tries to get that pick. Melio gonna find one. Trust me now goes down. Then the portal will follow. Notice how they are turning that portal around, using it as a wall. Do this in ranked. It does help your team. And kicked right back into the door.
Body block.
Oh, and the whole team. You got to go to the other side of the portal. You have to go to the other side of the portal. They do. And we go with the Cyanox Seduction towards the back line. Is it going to find anyone? Yes, it does find Trust Me and a few more. And that's a great play, but unfortunately the dance floor is out. Not going to make too much value, but it did make the Strategist ult be utilized. Trust Me now walking in with essentially another Strategist ult here with Cap. The Freedom Charge, bringing freedom to his team and walking right through the lines of Envy.
I mean, right now, Envy had the peel before it. I mean, the peel is not necessarily there because Speedery rather, able to take down 3, just kicks through everybody on the side of Rad.
Are you kidding me?
And this is what I was talking about earlier, Ship. The crowd also is rooting for Envy from what I've heard from behind the scenes as well for Speedery.
Big plays.
He makes plays. He's a huge player. He's so good at the game, but also Speedery's half Chinese. So now that we're in Guangzhou, China, he has a lot of the fans behind him because there's no more teams left, obviously, in Nova and OUG. So Speedery's definitely a fan favorite, obviously because he's a fantastic player and personality, but because, you know, it's relatable. You always want to root for people from your same country.
Absolutely. We start the next fight now. Window with an early initiation. Cal just going to hold back and wait for that Cap. Speedery going to go back and do the same thing after that initiation from Window. Just buying space is all they're looking for. There's that off angle again from Melio. And dunked on from Window from downtown Naga. Going to find Kaluge now. And they're keeping the presence. Level 1 Crook with a great freeze. So you get that extra health there. That was a recent buff too to Luna that I do think is very impactful, giving you a little more success once you get that freeze as Cal finds Naga. Window now on a level 1 Crook, and Trust Me go down as they are walking them with this momentum with 3 minutes and 20 on the clock.
They're staggering hard. I mean, that's an unfortunate aspect with the fact that on the opposite side for level 1 Crook, he walked the opposite side, right? Came out of spawn, trying to run back, maybe take a fight on that off angle, but because of it, this map's so big, it's always an awkward situation where you take the wrong spawn.
Oh my goodness! Oh, good out there. Cal forcing that cooldown is big as Kraken Impact's ready, and you can actually utilize that short wall there in the opening to make your Kraken Impact even faster. If you collide with a ceiling, you can launch it quicker. And great, they broke that whole wall first. That was a smart decision through it as Speedery now getting that some of that over health and ready to engage with ultimate. Coming in now, Iron Fist. Let me see the chi. And yes, onto the back line. Very low goes Luna, just misses the kick. Fortunately comes back with it, so it does work out. Cal with one on a Trust Me Window. Another Kaluge and Speedery. The team is falling. Envy will get point 2.
What an absolute snowball. And this is the aspect of Envy that's so strong. I feel like they don't necessarily, or they always take advantage of these certain really fast-paced comps when they do play them, right? That's why it was weird to see them play a little bit slower. Now, like you called, Chib, you talked about it, man. Why were we not seeing Window on Venom earlier? This feels so clean.
Yeah, I think this is really working out for them. I think the biggest struggle that we've had on the side of Envy is, do we peel or do we push? And now, when you're matching it, the enemy is dealing with the same issue, and it is very much working for them.
Oh,
Cal with the ball onto Melio. Goodbye, Melio. Nero onto Trust Me. And both of those picks are invaluable as they turn the first corner on point 3 with 3 minutes and 20 on the clock.
Cal is so good, man. I mean, obviously, with the Luna Snowflake on the Psylocke, when you use that Emma team up, you split into 2 Psylocks, right?
Yeah.
But the correct Psylocke is the one with the Luna Snowflake. Cal picked the right one, and then he hooked him in. Doesn't matter how much healing you get there, you're going to go down to Bucky.
Big brain call out. Take that into ladder, folks, as Cal now holding on a point. Trust me, utilizing that freedom charge a little early, but needed to do so to get the team back in this fight. Right onto the back line they go. Nero is going to escape there, just barely. Smart play with the back line. Speedery on the dive, gets frozen, blocks it up, tries to get some more value again. Onto the strategist, forces out cooldowns. Well played. Cancel the butterfly out now for Melio. Not too much value. The Psionic is out, trying to help with the back line right onto Cap now. And now Endsong is launched, none of which gets a pick just yet, as the teams are holding on in Envy now in Ultimates, ready to make this play happen on the next fight. Naga finds Cal though, looking for a few more, but still, they at this point need to stagger or reset together.
This is a weird angle though, I think, for this Phoenix ship. I mean, it's been a hard spot. Yeah, they're committing.
Yeah, I don't know if we will see Cal come back with Strange early. I don't think it's worth it just yet, because Cal is going to have ultimate, and Speedery on to level 1. Crook now up in numbers 5 to 6 as Cal returns. Speedery almost makes it happen, but not enough. Naga going to find Speedery. Melio on a Nero. Trust me on a month, and they are holding on. Kaluj is going to get one, but at this point you've got to fall or try to share. You got to fall together.
2 minutes left on the clock. I mean, I don't know how they did it, just through sheer mechanical skill of Melio and Naga. I mean, the Strategist Ultimates were in favor of Envy. I mean, they're all healthy. Overcommitment towards the spawn doors, maybe a little overzealous, resulted in Speedery going down, but that's how you have to play an Iron Fist. It's such a committable character that you have to commit, and, you know, to get those final hits. Sometimes you use that versatility in terms of the mobility to get away. On the backside, Melio's in the 1v1. Both players using their cooldowns, and, you know, both tanks also matching to save their duelist.
Yeah, I think the issue was overcommitment in terms of ults after Cal got KO'd. Cal was ready with Kraken Impact, and it would have gone so hard with something like a damage boost. And instead, once Cal went down, the team just tried to commit. Nice pull again on Melio. Melio falls. The team commits on the pull. Cal ready with Kraken Impact. This could be game winning, or at least point winning, as they go to OT. Out we go again. How many times will they have Trust Me's freedom charge? It is always available. And up we go with the Endsong Inferno, waiting out time. Out goes the Strategist Ultimate now. Gets stuffed by the ceiling, unfortunate, or burned, excuse me, by the side of Envy now, waiting into this Kraken Impact, counting out the Strategist line, and once that ends, we will see him up in the sky window. Nero ready with Kaluj, and here's the setup ultimate of the Psionic out for Rajaro. Will it be matched? Cal goes down, still holding on to that ult. Melio on a Kaluj again. Oh, and they copy up. They need to touch 38. I think they had the time, but they do commit and try to continue as Speedery gets one. Speedery now ulting. That's a second! But will they be able to keep doing this? They keep using ults as the team goes down. They're trying to win these fights. I don't know if they're worth it. They will stagger now.
Yeah, I mean, Melio gets near. That's a great call out. I mean, they're trying to continue this fight in Chib. I mean, 20 seconds now left on the clock. Kalu's going to go for that portal, so they're able to time it together. Rad knows they can't go for that stun on the spawn, but that portal's going to come in a moment. They can do it whenever they want, and the answer is right now.
Feast of the Abyss with Kraken Impact. A combo not always seen, but it could be insane if... Oh, they got a touch, though, with 3. I'm sure they have, but that would be wild, and now they do get the touch. Cal goes down early, unfortunate with the Kraken Impact utilized. They are going to try to make something happen. Very low on the left side is Melio. Trust me, again with the freedom charge. Are you joking? Nearly every fight. Naga ready with the Endsong Inferno. They cannot stop this team. Rad is on a roll. Melio gets 2. Out goes another ult here. Fate with window, and that should do it on the defense as Rad shuts down Envy before point 3.
Huge map win for Rad. 2-1 now in the series to go up against Envy, their nightmare, their nemesis, whatever you want to call it. 2 North American teams that are not here. Right now, Rad are looking like they are a brand new roster today. They are playing at such a high level ship. And I don't know, man, this team is scary. It's unfortunate aspects. It was, by the way, scrappy. Incredibly scrappy towards the very end. Yeah. Back and forth. And honestly, that's how you want to play if you're the side of Rad, because of how Naga was playing. I mean, he's been playing so well.
Lights out, yeah.
Lights out indeed. And that's the tough aspect when you have the Bucky, dude. When you play that character instead of Jean Grey, it's always going to be a tough situation because of how much you could do on Phoenix compared to Bucky.
Yeah, I think the issue there was it was a multitude of times that the team overcommitted ults after losing bodies, and there was time on the clock. It's all about one more fight.
The thing is, they would be fine as long as they weren't playing Iron Fist. That's the unfortunate aspect. I love Iron Fist at certain times. I mean, I hate playing against them. But, I mean, like, Iron Fist in the current patch, don't we all? Right now, like, he just has to full commit, right? And that's the unfortunate aspect of Iron Fist is in the previous patches of the game, when Iron Fist did a ton of damage, you can full commit. You can commit on the back line like that. Not these days. You don't just do enough damage, TTK-wise, time to eliminate-wise. right now that Phoenix just can do so much. And I think this goes back to the ban phase, is that there was not enough respect given to Naga in that end of the map. You saw how much he did as well on the attack. I think that's my MVP personally because of how he played. The back line was doing so much of Envy. I think if they won that was because of how good the strategist line is of Envy. But towards the very end, Naga, and you called it earlier, Melio, alongside Trust Me, doing so much just taking out speedily because he had to hard commit towards the spawn.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he did not find enough picks. He cannot get multi-eliminations similar to what he did earlier, like Naga did. I think Naga was just kind of popping off a little bit more.
Yeah, I just think, I agree with all that, but I do think the ult utilization at the end from Envy was horrendous. It was panic. It was after they were losing a fight. They never reset as a team. Instead, it was staggering ultimates, never allowing them to come back in cohesive. Like, they can never combine an ultimate towards the end. Even through the portal, all we had left was Feast. There was no strategy line from the side of Envy, and they were ready to try to come with Kraken, with Feast and Kraken together, and immediately Cal gets dropped.
Yeah.
Feast gets no value, has to go back and touch with Feast because no one's on point. It's messy, and that happened 3 fights in a row, and Envy can definitely clean that up. I know how strong they are as a team, but Rad, like you said, scrappy, and while still being scrappy, so coordinated.
Yeah, and that's where Phoenix shines. That's where Jean Grey shines. That's an excellent call out, because you were talking about how that they just built because of how many ults they were committing, so much time would shoot off the clock, right? That's the point you were making, and I think that's a great one, because I mean they had what, 2.5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes in third phase, and they lost all of that because of, like you said, with Stagger, and now Shib heading to this next map. I mean, I wonder what you pick, because we saw on the previous map that Envy won on Idrisil path. That was so close. This one was also that close, but it's a game of inches, and right now, Rad seemed to be winning it for Envy's side. We're going back to domination, Shib. If you take a look at what you were talking about, when you think about Envy, which domination map do you think they're going to go to next? Is it going to be a map like Hell's Heaven, or what are you thinking that is in their pocket?
Hell's Heaven leads towards flyer compositions, and I think that will help Envy, at least on certain maps of Hell's Heaven. So I'm not sure. I think we head over, I don't know, maybe to Wakanda. We get some love there. That is a dive. It has dive potential. I think it's a little more open, but we haven't seen a ton of that in this tournament. I think teams just don't like to play that map for whatever reason. I think it's another one of the Wakanda maps. I think Hall of Jalia is the convergence map.
Burn the Jalia. There we go.
Yeah. Burn the Jalia. There it is.
One maps I get wrong all the time.
Yeah,
it's like thinking like Central Park, Midtown. You know, those things.
It happens.
It happens every time.
But yeah, maybe Burning. I think it has potential, but then again, like I said, very seldom picked. I think we saw one time in this tournament.
Well, who would that favor if we do go to that map? Let's go talk about each map, maybe. Like the maps left, maybe the ones that are in the map pool. Like you said, we'll start there. Okay. Burn the Chala. If you think about it, in terms of what we've seen, who do you think was on the map? I mean, Phoenix pops off on certain rounds. Like
I think Phoenix is great on Hell's Heaven as well.
Okay, right. So
and they've been getting away with getting Phoenix every time.
So let's talk about Burn the Chala though. Like, who do you think wins on Burn the Chala over Rad or Envy? Who would you favor in that situation?
Good call. I do think Envy would likely win on that map, but then again, it's also what they have had success with scrimming, right? So it's like, do I think their standard composition that they've been running succeeds there? Yes, but as a team, do they succeed there? I'm not sure. I do think we see, some decent, like more pokey, stacked compositions in Hell's Heaven, and they can do that as well on certain maps of Hell's Heaven. So it's really about what they found success with. So.
Hell's Heaven, what do you think? Envy, Rad, like who do you think on that one specifically? It's tough because of...
It depends on the bands, I would say.
Depends on the bands, and...
Yeah, well, it depends on the bands, but we'll have. I mean, we'll have that. Let's take a guess as we see bands, right?
Okay.
If it does go to Hell's Heaven, which I do think we will see. So Cal, look at that, 12 finals, played really strong there on the Bucky. I do think was finding a ton of success, but just not able to do much at the very end. Window and Kaluj both with 7. But then you look over at Rad, 17 for Melio and 19 on Naga. They were lights out together.
Yeah, and if you look over at the healing department as well, on the opposite side, I really feel it felt to me like the backline of Envy was doing so much, and I think just numbers-wise, we're seeing that out of Month and Nero. I mean, you see slightly more numbers in terms of healing department for both Month and Nero in combination, right? Obviously connecting together for, I believe, 100,000 healing, and on the opposite side for Fate and Level 1 Crook, we got nearly, 85,000, I believe. So, wait, am I doing math correctly here? I am, right? That is what... about the numbers it is.
Yeah.
Not a math guy, more of a
You nailed that. Yeah.
But regardless, I think that the backline of Envy was doing so much on the map, and I think Rad does have strong strategist players, don't get me wrong, but in terms of how that map happened, there we go. Speaking of a strong strategist player, Crook was doing so much on Luna Snow multiple times. That adaptation to put Luna Snow in the game instead of Loki I think it makes a lot of sense,
right?
Yeah, but on the opposite, it's tough because you do give up the Loki, right, on the opposite side because you're banning out Duelist, you're banning out Jean Grey, you're banning out a lot of Speederys, Hero Pool, same thing with Cal. You're ignoring the back line. But because of how strong Stratus Ultimates are in the game across the board, even if you're taking a slightly weaker one or a slightly weaker overall, as long as you get that Luna Snow, you enable yourself to play that Psylocke composition. Because they had the Psylocke in the last map, it's almost like they were at a net negative because they never had that Snowflake to either give to Naga or over to Melia.
Agreed. I think it helps with the off angles, but I also think it just really plays well with Jean, because we talk about that melee play style when you're confident with, consistent healing from Luna's, where you can really shine with that melee play style and getting your ult incredibly quickly. But then the damage boost combination, I think it's one of those combos that is not afraid to sweep a back line, and you can get that ult insanely quickly.
And sorry to cut you off, Shib, but like really, when I think about the Loki as well, there's some teams that are really good against playing against Loki, right?
Sure.
I think across the board earlier on in the tournament, we've seen teams struggle.
Sorry. Welcome back, everyone, as we just saw Rad get their second win against Envy. How do you feel about that match, man?
It was incredible. I mean, what a match, what a second or third map, and
yes,
our very first finals at a LAN event in the mid-season, and it's been an incredible journey because of, like we were talking about before we come back on the broadcast, we were talking about how during the break, we see the players in the hallways and whatnot, and bump shoulders, which is awesome.
It's been great to meet them. Yeah,
it's awesome to see the players and stuff. That's the highlight of this event for sure. Everybody meeting each other. But Naga talked about how he just picked up Phoenix 2 days ago, which is insane for sure. Like you said, that's insane. The fact that he just picked up that hero so recently, and it's incredible to witness him kind of evolve on that hero already so fast.
Yeah, seeing the players that are dominating us in ladder in person is a unique thing. But yeah, picking up a hero 2 days ago, playing the hero at that level, Phoenix, is such a problem. I do think we need to see that Phoenix ban, but I'm not sure what the next answer is, because I do think if you allow Phoenix Luna, it's just too much pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the hardest part for a team like Team Envy, at least in the past, in the Ignite stage number 1, is I didn't like their ban phases that much. That was the biggest reason I thought that they didn't get that number 1 seed, and that's why they had to play the play-ins, is because when we talk about ban phases, a team like Team Envy dropped out early in stage 1. We're going to Hell's Heaven, the map that you talked about earlier. And I need to see Envy and their adaptations for this next one if they make any.
So what needs to happen here on domination against Rad? Rad is, like we said, a team that is very much all about holding point. The key against Rad, and I know that sounds cheesy, but I mean, they are a team that has stall. No matter what, they're going to have that Venom cap. They're going to have something that's going to maintain position. So every team's suggestion, even as we talked to Nectar, they mentioned to us, against Rad in particular, you cannot allow them to get point first. If you do, your odds of you winning that map are significantly reduced, because they have always seemed to manage to push that thing to 70+% on the first hole.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot that they've been able to do. But now we're going to Hell's Heaven.
Yeah.
Right, and Speeder we saw play that Iron Fist because there's a lot of target bans towards him.
Yeah.
What do you think about that pick? And, we talked about like Wolverine and stuff, Shib, like we talked about those type of heroes. And I know it's a very specific, hyper-specific situation that you're dealing with, but what do you think about Iron Fist so far in the tournament? I know a lot of people don't think even Iron Fist is particularly good.
I think Fist is definitely playable. As we were watching scrims with teams, they were playing Fist in various compositions, but a lot of the time it was due to the fact that they wanted that team up with Luna, right? And that is, at this level of play, it's valuable because the dive is so, ridiculous. It is so difficult to escape from because they do not miss those tendrils, and the animation cancels are flawless. There is so little time to react, and you need some other tool.
And I know that so these guys were both, by the way, talking to each other during the show match because Rad earlier wiped out 100 Thieves, unfortunately. They got sent home to get that 3rd place, so we're not competing for $160,000 today. But I know Window and Melio, I think we're chatting about who developed which composition, who was the first innovator sort of situation. And, I think Window was taking credit for the Jeff stuff that we've seen earlier, which we might see later on. This is the guy that we've seen play a ton of Jeff. And Fate on the opposite side. So I kind of want to see what Rad does in this upcoming map. They might see more. We might see that composition come through, as I believe it was Hell's Heaven that we saw, I believe, Citadel play it when Tanuki hit the 5K with the Itch Jeff ultimate.
Biggest Jeff ult we've had in the tournament. But the closest next was Fate with a 4-piece, I believe, on Yggdrasil that we were together for. So
right. We were together for that one. We could count it as 5 because he got his own teammate, too, in the previous one.
True, yeah.
Off the map, got to recall that situation. But these players are always all phenomenal and are here in the grand finals for a reason.
Yeah.
So, like we're talking about Naga, and with Rajaro being able to flex do a ton of different things as well, all these players just reach such a high level. I wonder, what do you think about that Mag ban, by the way, right on the opposite spectrum? I think, are both teams banning out Mag usually? It's usually on the opposite side that Envy wants to get rid of Mag for Rad.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think Mag is definitely one of the strongest, most consistent vanguards, especially when helping with things like dive, so you can't have that bubble. So them removing another tool to help with dive, I think, is the goal there. I'm not sure how specifically it is targeting a various vanguard, because both of those vanguards can play Magneto, but as we see here, Envy, what do you know? Again, Mantis, goodbye, and on the opposition, goodbye to Torch. No change over all of these first 4 ban phases.
Yep, and we notice, usually when a team protects, you kind of have a counter ban on the opposite side. The tough part about Luna Snow is that you can't do that. Early protect now from the side lock, right? Maybe you could bait out some bans from Rad, right? You protect side lock, maybe you bait the Emma Frost ban on the opposite side. Rad getting rid of Phoenix, and there it is. There's the Emma Frost ban. But now I wonder, Luna Snow's still a ban that could potentially happen. And then also, this opens up maybe triple. So this is not bad for Envy right now in the ban phase, depending on what Rad does. Does Rad want to get rid of Luna? And they're the Adam Warlock ban. They understand how strong that is.
Yeah, I think right now I kind of like what's going on here for Envy. I think changing it up and allowing your Vanguards to flex more and let the duelists play more comfortable picks like Psylocke may be impactful for them with that lock-in of Psy. And they are going to protect that Phoenix on the side of Rad. I do think they need to. I think the Phoenix has got a ton of value.
Yeah, we just talked about how maybe, like we were talking about Naga in the hallway, maybe they weren't respecting Naga enough. I'm sure they're talking about that now.
Yeah.
And they protected it because they're aware of Envy maybe thinking about that. So this is going to be a tough choice for Envy now because they have to play against that. Human Torch was also on the line, and now they're getting rid of that too. So Rad and the ban phase are scary. That's what we talk about, how flexible they are and how you can play. They could have even protected the Human Torch if they wanted to in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a difficult, the final ban on Torch, I don't absolutely.
Well, it makes sense because of how good Torch is.
Sure.
For sure. And,
absolutely.
But the
especially
thing is,
if they're going to ban it, you have to match it. Sure.
In Rad, you would think, okay, Human Torch is better than Phoenix at the current moment. That's why everybody's banning out Human Torch every game. But you have to think about it momentum-wise, right? You have to think about it. What they've been practicing, what they've been playing in this game is a ton of Phoenix, and it's working out so well. So even though you give up the Human Torch, it makes sense to keep on to Phoenix because maybe Envy's looking to ban out that.
And we will progress forward here into Hell's Heaven. The bans have been completed. Will we see a tie-up situation here from Envy, or will Rad go up 3-0? And I want you to remember, folks, these are Envy's first few losses. They only had 3 total. In the entire tournament, including the play-in stages, they almost have 3 against them already in the finals. That just goes to show you Rad is stepping up in this moment.
Well, this we're talking about, the grand finals advantage, going through that upper bracket isn't always an advantage because you saw Rad's had 2 chances against Team Envy to come back. And here we go out of the spawn. Jeff, speed up, speed boost. The casters obviously in the arena thinking we're going to see some Jeff, but here's that portal.
The kidnap play, folks, the idea here is to kidnap a backline, and the mines will do the work for them. Let's see if this works for them. Right now, the kidnap goes out. No, they were ready. Good idea. Cal is going to be switching off here quickly. And yes, now going to be on the Star-Lord. So Star-Lord for Cal Speedery on that Psylocke. Emma Frost not going to get through as Kaluge is still on Strange, holding on and bang. Rajaro, Melio, Rajaro again with 3 down. Rad is really using this momentum to their favor. They know what's on the line, and they want this title and to go down in history as the first to take home the midseason finals.
Yeah, right now, easy point take for Rad there. No good team, I think, gets trolled by that Dr. Strange kidnap play these days because a lot of the top players and top teams are aware of a domination playing it, and Melio on the Black Panther is definitely a sight to behold.
All right, and we start now, trust me, on the height, trying to make sure that no off angle is taken, and I think that's a very smart play by Captain America, who will do that job just fine. Window on that Venom. Naga gonna find Speedery again in the neutral, and that is massive fate on the Window now. Rad, like we had said, gets point early, and they just hold it for days, and now they are going to be used that Captain America as the way to stall with that Luna Snow and Invis from level 1 Crook.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing so well around Naga on Phoenix at the moment. I mean, this has been a terrifying pick. And it's going to change the bands of Envy coming up. And this is what I said in the first little bit before we came back, or after we came back from break, Shib, is that Envy, I think in the ban phases, sometimes struggle, but we'll see how this plays out as, Black Panther on this map too is always something you have to worry about.
Yeah, I do agree. And we start with another engage from the side. With the Venom out on Window, looking for the back line, taking a fair amount of damage. Cal low now. Naga showing up. Kaluge is going to be on. I like that. Captain America changing pace here, being a little more aggro. I think it's working for them when they're able to get on those strategists. Cal trying to play aggressively. Speedery is low now, is going to dash out. Cal going to find Naga, put them up in numbers, but we do have that Freedom Charge out. I think that was used there by Kaluge. It was, so doubled up there on Month. I'm not sure you needed both in that moment.
Yeah, it's going to be curious if what happens in this upcoming fight because of, like you said, Shib. I mean, Trust Me has his ultimate ready to go. Sure, the Lake level quick, and they know that, right?
That's
Rajaro,
a great stagger, though.
Being staggered, has to kind of walk off the map. Is the Window even open? Here comes the eliminations. Green's out early just to make sure they can find more. Maybe they're going to go for Trust Me if they found this dagger. That's huge.
Wow. Oh, they're going to get more. They're collapsing heavy. Can they find a third? No, they will not. I was wondering if Melio's going to ult up. There is
a
Panther here now for Melio.
Oh, no.
As Melio finds Month.
Oh, no.
That is a huge pick. Out we go with another strategist ultimate just to kind of delay some time. Melio playing a little bit safe, just trying to use that wall climb to their advantage, and now they're walking right back into point.
too far, too extended for Team Envy. You would think on Captain America, you're not in a situation where you have to do that. Resets come through as well. As the Freedom charge is there from Trust Me early on. Here comes the Legendary in the sky. I mean, I don't even know if Cal's in that safe of a spot to do this. He's just going to kind of stagger. Speed also goes down. Envy's making mistakes.
And it's 81 on here, percentage-wise for Rad. 41 to Envy, doubled up. And Fate does use that ult. Naga going to be holding on as level 1 Crook is gaining towards that invisible boundary as well. Speedery ready, Window. They've got to use these ults effectively now, or they will be doomed, as at this point, Rad, it's in one fight territory ready with a strange portal. This is a dangerous position to be in if you're on the side of Envy. Another psionic, oh, excuse me, the Cutterfly goes out. Speedery gets 1, Window gets 2 as Crook falls prior to getting that ult. And that's a good start, but will it be enough as Month is going to force out that Luna Snow, as well as we do see the dance floor from Fate of Both Worlds at the end of that fight.
Yeah, but we're now going to set upcoming one with level 1 Crook with the invisible boundary. Now, the hard part, I think, for Envy is they have to force it out in a spot that favors them, right? Level 1 Crook is gonna be the player you have to watch in this weekly fight, maybe alongside Melio, because he's always going for those one-shot kind of backline setups on Black Panther, but really it all depends on where level 1 Crook can pop off this ultimate.
Melio playing hyper aggro towards the back line, but Cal trying to mark as much as possible. The Panther is ready. Do you hear Bass? Because I hear him calling as they walk onto point right behind Trust Me, leading the charge, literally getting ready for that Freedom charge. And we only have the invisible boundary out with Bass. Will we see that combo? Kaluj gonna match it right back. Out goes that boundary now. Cal, excuse me, trying to get towards that ult. Melio waiting for the perfect moment, waiting out this Freedom charge. And then we will see Bass wreaking havoc on the back line. Naga up on height onto Cal. Cal forced to retreat. 88% now, anybody's game, as Envy is still holding for as long as possible, but Nero forced to use that Fate of Both Worlds now. Cal close, does have ult. Window close with ult, but there will be strategist line ults coming with Fate on Rad. Out we go! Bass with Fate. Oh, Cal gonna find Melio to try to even the odds a little bit though, and that's nice, as the teams are 5-5. And that's important, as at this point, it is who loses one more. It's the teleport is gone here. As they press forward, Naga gonna start meleeing for days. We do see Rajaro using that psionic. Again with the end song, does it get value? No. Window onto Fate, Kaluj onto Crook. Will they be able to take this back? Cal onto Rajaro, and that should do it. As the portal comes through, but there will be a forced stagger. They've got to take this KO now, and
He's body block too. Nice body block, man. Round number 1 going in favor on Frozen Airfield of Envy. And you know, that's the tough part. We talk about how good Captain America is. We talked about how good, Venom is. But right now we saw the value of Venom alongside Luna Snow, and that's kind of that tandem that we mentioned is so strong, right? I mean, Window constantly going for those one-shots with the team up with Nero, and that's what enabled them. That's the tough part about Captain America. Captain America's ult is more like a third strategist ult that we always talk about. In this case, Window doesn't really have that third strategist ultimate on Venom, but does have a ton of lethality with the combination of him and Nero.
Yeah, I think that switch to the double dive front line was game-changing. I think everything changed when that happened, and it just took them too long to make that decision. So this may change the way the flow of the series is going, because I do think they needed to figure that out.
Absolutely. I think you're right. They do need to figure that out. And that's we talked to Trust Me as well a lot, and he was mentioning how this game's a game about cycling, right? Cycling ultimate, cycling one-shot combinations. For Envy, their one-shot is that Venom. It doesn't happen every single time. With the Luna Snow, it's hard to get that team up. Rajaro just dashed into the wall. I think he just diamond form dashed into the wall instead of dashing out of spawn. One of us, yeah. But for Rad, their one-shot combination is the Luna Snow alongside Jean Grey. So at least they have that combination, that cycle ready to go. But Cal as well on Star-Lord has been an absolute game changer. I mean, he's doing so much in terms of creating space and maybe even finding picks.
Yeah, and level 1 Crook very close to ultimate with Kaluj. You talk about the essentially triple strategist ultimates there when you do have Cap on the team, and I do agree with that fully, but the way that they play Cap can be hyper aggro and essentially play it almost like an Atom Revival, just because you cannot get KO'd if playing Cap with that ult up properly. And Melio gonna find one early on a Speedery, and that is a number up for the side of Rad. Nobody on point in terms of captured yet, excuse me, as it is 2-2. Out goes the invisible boundary. Nobody will match that. Kaluj keeping that assemble. Out they go. Cap, Freedom charging into their front line, and that just means the team has to follow up. They want that shield. Naga doing what Naga does on this hit scan. A ton of damage out, not allowing Window to make too much space. Ooh, just missed the grapple. Is going to be in trouble here. Playing aggro still, but is going to fall as Fate cleans up Window. Unfortunately, the grapple got got canceled, I think, by that invis pull. So that was really well done by Crook, and maybe not seen there on the broadcast.
No, absolutely. I mean, right now there's so much pressure on Window, and Speedily trying to equalize it. Month there with the follow-up onto that dive. Huge plays from the Luki player of Envy.
Yeah, and now we still do not have point captured as numbers are up, are even, excuse me, on both teams. Melio with that ultimate, out goes the dance of the Cutterfly, holding on with that ult. They do see Psylocke still in a vulnerable position. Cal trying to put some damage out, but no, it is matched by the Fate. We see a tackle from Rajaro. Kalush goes down now. Will the point finally be captured as the team is going to be forced to reset? Down goes Cal now, and they will reset.
I mean, they've made it. Envy might have won this fight if we go back to the very beginning. If Window didn't go down, I mean, the spawns on domination are just so far away from the point that even for Venom, a fast character still has to wait 10 seconds to spawn and then has to swing back and still walk. So much value found in finding Window in that fight, maybe before he could ult as well. So right now, Rad doing a good job shutting down the Venom player in comparison to the last map.
Yeah, I think when Invis is on the opposition, you have to play a totally different game as when it comes to Venom. That pull is detrimental to you if you use that cooldown, and they're prepared for it, which at this level they are always prepared for it. They know which cooldown is most impactful for them to cancel, just like if you saw Wolverine on here, Logan would be worth it. Out we go with another ultimate here, the invisible boundary, but Cal gonna combo up with Window, get one as Fate falls, and there we see Naga trying to get to the back line. Level 1 Crook trying to escape here now. Cal gonna put the pressure on. They did come back from an early take last time. 41% is not too much if they can take this quickly. Cal, Kalush, Melio though with one, and Melio with two. Melio is on one right now. Absolutely popping off of the Psylocke again onto Speedery.
Yeah, how? I mean, they're creating opportunities that shouldn't exist.
Oh
and
my
Melio
goodness! Melio just holding that internal angle. I don't even know if they know where Melio is. Taking them off point one by one, and they win because of that. That whole fight was won by Melio, and I will stand by that.
Yeah, Melio, and trust me, the tandem, the duo, the dives, he's just making things work right now. There's so much pressure onto Envy, who through the invisible boundary were able to get eliminations with Cal, Window on top of Speedery's Dance to the Cutterflies. So right now, Rad, massive work from Melio.
Yeah, Melio again already with that Psylocke, ready for the dance. Fate going to be close by, and then Rajaro should have it towards the end of this fight. But if you look over at Envy, there should be a ton of ults ready for this fight. At this point, you cannot overcommit because they are in one-fight territory, and you are not. Melio does not miss. Ton of damage out, ready for the dance, and it will force out some cooldowns. There it goes. I thought just tricked it up a little bit. Forced out crystals. Month gonna follow up on Naga from Cal. Puts a ton of damage out here with the Galactic Legend. Up we go with the Psylocke, or excuse me, with the Psionic, which does find three, and that is huge as Melio cleans up Month now. Those crystals being gone, they do capitalize. Now matched right back with Psylocke. Oh, Psylocke tries, does manage to get not one, so low on the front line of Trust Me, who uses that Freedom Charge to keep the team healthy. Out we go with the teleport here by Naga now, who just wants to close this out on map 2 instantaneously. And on the side of Envy, it may be worth holding these ultimates.
Wait, but they're still coming back. Monk has the copy, but can he get his strategist? Venom going in with the ultimate Cal on the inside angle. Goes down to Melio again.
Yeah, I mean, Melio is on one. This is a rampage. Then can they be stopped? Rajaro onto Window, and we will see Kalush. Ooh, forcing out the Invis boundary copy there from Month, and that is good. The Venn diagram out, if you will, with the double boundary. Trust me, with the team through as Month goes down. Get rid of that boundary. Not much option left here. You need to teleport here on the side of Envy, who have, and they're losing everyone. And that is a W for Rad, 100-0.
Tied up 1-1. Now we see this third round on Hell's Heaven. I mean, it's been so back and forth between these two teams. Eldritch Monument going the way of Rad, Frozen Airfield going the other way. And for Super Soldier Factory Ship, we are now going to see another map where I think that the Psylocke should do quite well. I mean, you don't have the team up on the other side for Team Envy as Emma Frost was removed, right? We talked about how they protected Psylocke, forcing out the Emma Frost ban, and the opposite was happening earlier. They were banning out Psylocke when Emma Frost was protected, and I think right now we're learning why Emma Frost is such a valuable character. It's because of, like you saw earlier with Melio, he was just doing so much on Psylocke with the team up.
Yeah, not only is it an offensive ult where it does allow you to have faster burst potential, but a lot of the top Psylocks are using it defensively, correct? Where they will instead use it to just buy an iframe moment and distract the enemy to force them to look at two different Psylocks.
Yeah, and I think that we saw how much they needed to do to even, get a drop of blood out of Rad. We saw them lose a fight where they committed, Venom Ultimate alongside Dance to the Cutterflies, alongside Cal with the spin to win sort of combination, and even that wasn't enough to win that fight. So Rad have been playing so well. That was a lights out map from them as we enter this third round.
Yeah, no more Galactic Barrage or Galactic Legend there from Cal, who will now be on that Bucky, looking to find more value with those pulls, which we did see a lot of, just like that. To Trust Me now with great understanding of map positioning there to dash out without even batting an eye, knowing where the off angles are now. Spidery is getting assaulted here by the back right side. 195 HP from Melio with Crystal up. He's going to play hyper aggro. Shield out now too, Trust Me. Going to dive in towards the back line. Is going to reset to the team. 98 HP with an escape there. Level 1 Crook doing a great job on holding that natural cover right side position. Cal going to wait this out, potentially see something here as we do see the fate of both worlds from Nero. Up we go with Kaluj. Will this meteor land? Not going to be enough damage done. Oh, and good last second patient shield from Rajaro to help out the back line and keep them healthy. Naga meleeing for days. All you need to do in those moments and finding two as they sweep up the rest. And they are walking in now, but Envy is at this point just trying to fall back and reset.
Kaluj got force physics off the map. I mean, Cal goes down as well. I mean, it doesn't matter how many ultimates you pop in this fight, it's over. That was a huge push in the pit from Crook, man. Every single map, I don't think I've called out Crook enough, able to find those picks, but okay. Melio goes too far. We saw Kaluj do this previously. We'll see if that even matters in this upcoming fight, but right now, Rad in the driver's seat.
Rad really showing up in this matchup, looking like a refreshed team. Out we go with another invisible boundary. Spidery pulling that out is value. Up we go with Naga now. And we do have the end song towards the back line, getting rid of some of those shields. And Cal, not to mention. So what a pick again. Naga onto Kaluj now as they're walking them forward, breaking these walls. And they are panicking. Envy on the swap train now for days is a sign of a team that needs to figure something out. I like the idea, but it is a dangerous position to be in as Rad are already at 40% roughly and climbing.
Yeah, if we're not going to play Jean Grey or prioritize getting rid of Naga's Jean Grey, I think something's got to change, right? Maybe play the Wolverine, something like that for Spidery on to Psylocke, or put Cal on Wolverine. Right now, this Bucky, it's been struggling on this round. We've seen two times Cal goes down and Kaluj went down first to the invisible woman, force physicsing off the map.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen Envy take on Rad multiple times with two different separate Ws against each other, but I think the changes recently, the team comps, the understanding of new heroes that were talked about. We talked about Naga picking up, Phoenix over the last day or so. That might have been the factor here that is allowing them to push us through, because Cal is going to fall, but Naga, why not get two more? Melio and Naga are just killing it right now.
Yeah, we got to get rid of the Phoenix after this map, I think, if you're Envy. I mean, this is a best out of 7, right? So we have 4 maps that you need to win. Rad would be only halfway, 80% on the board, though, to winning this map, to put themselves on map point. Right now, Envy, I mean, they're looking lost.
Kaluj does have that Meteor M, and it's going to need a lot of love. It's got to be big for them to find a ton of value here, as there's not much that can stuff it. They're going to have Rajaro throwing up that shield, as well as Trust Me ready with Cap on the Protect here with the Freedom Charge. And at this point, it is getting the entirety, of Envy is going to be on their heels as we start off here. Out goes Spidery with that Psylocke backline dance of the butterfly, looking for some damage. Melio going to force out crystals now. Up we go. Kaluj, very low in HP, is going to get healed up and use it, trying to find Naga, but does not find Naga. Now we see right back at him, but Naga goes down. Rajaro onto Spidery. Both duelists traded. Make that a strategist, as Trust Me gets another now. Rad are absolutely on one as they are walking them to the door again. The portal needs to come through if possible. Not sure that it even can, as you just got to try to hold to the point, allow your team to portal, and I don't think they can. It's over.
Right now, Rad are looking immortal at the current moment. They're so flexible, and that's we didn't talk about that enough. I think the duelist of this team until now, man, they are just incredibly flexible, like you said, with Naga being able to flex over to Jean Grey last moment, and that's the history. That's the future of this game, right? Is being able to flex on every single character. It's sort of the narrative that I feel like should not be understated and can't be understated because of how good Rad is due to their flexibility, man.
Yeah, I think that we also saw some changes from the strategist line. Them pulling out that invis when there was a big problem with the Venom. We saw the Venom cap finding a lot of value on map 1, and then switching or having the invis pull being more prioritized towards Venom. Force the switch off. Now on Groot, and when you have Psylocke dealing so much damage and Naga dealing so much damage on Phoenix, the Groot's not going to get too much value. And
there's some communication issues right now for Team Envy. We know we saw fights where a strategist ultimately would be popped, and then maybe a Loki would also commit crystals at the same time. So, for as good as the backline of Envy is, Rad showing that they also can play to that level and also maybe have, or definitely have, a shout at being the best strategist in the game in both Fate and Level 1 Crook, because Crook has showed up every single map so far.
It looks like Rad has just done their homework. They're looking clinical, and they are forcing the team to look more panicked. Envy, which I would argue is a team that, out of all teams, you know, has the conversation of being very calm or very structured in being able to switch comps and handle something, but they are not able to handle Rad at all right now.
No.
Rad is looking dominant, especially on domination.
Yeah, and we need to see the ban phase maybe change up. This we're talking about, man. I think this is the reason if Envy were to lose this series 3-1 right now, if they were to lose 4 to
it's game point.
2.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about prods, but you could talk about earlier. I mean, I predicted Rad going into this. Maybe a bit of a you know, shot in the dark almost kind of situation, but Rad, I think today just looks so good, and those adaptations are really panning out for them, like you said. It's just that everybody's not really eliminatable on the side of Rad, and that's the biggest strength, right? We can see maybe why Captain America, for example, was a little bit more valuable than Venom, because once they shut down those one-shot combos, it happened only once, right, with Venom. That's the difficult part about Venom, is that even if you get one, you know, team fight win because of Venom, it's kind of different than Captain America, where the reason why Shredder's ultimates are so good is because they last forever.
Yeah.
Captain America, same situation, right? If you're getting value out of Venom once, you're getting Captain America value basically every single fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think you see, I think Venom works more successfully, you know, not necessarily on Dom or something like where it's all about winning one singular fight and allowing that push to happen. I think Cap, he does a great job on domination because you can essentially just circle point your whole team and stay healthy, treat it like a fate of both worlds, and it works well at stalling. And that we've talked about it many times, but that is what Rad wants to do: stall for as long as possible, force the team to panic. Because once you see that number start hitting 50%, 60, 70%, everything's out the window. You start throwing out those cooldowns at the same time, and next thing you know, you've lost the map.
Yep, and that was the strongest ban phase. I think we can both agree for Rad.
Yeah.
I mean, in the ban phase, they've been doing well, but I think on that map specifically, because they keep giving Naga Phoenix, because he's able to play that so often, because they protected it last second. I mean, trust me, if he's definitely running the ban phase.
Yeah.
I hate talking about player and talking about them too much and giving them too much credit, but right now this does seem like a draft diff at points, and overall team, compositionally, they're just so flexible. And right now, if they were to win this series, it's because of, like you said, they are immortal, but also they're going to be immortalized in Marvel Rivals history if they win this next map and win $160,000.
We are at game point for Rad here, and I do expect us to likely see Central Park, but you have to remember, I did say, and I'm sure they've done their homework, but both teams really enjoy Central Park. This is not necessarily an advantage here from the choice, and I'm assuming it's Central Park. We'll see shortly.
You know what, Chip? This whole trip as well, as we're talking about, we watched the devs just play as well, right?
Sure.
And now that we have a little bit of downtime while the players are, getting ready for the next map and maybe picking what map they want to play, you know what, the biggest thing I feel like from this trip is the tournament is phenomenal, and it's great, and we're so excited to be here, but it's just been itching at me to get back and play Season 3.5.
Yeah.
I just want to try Blade, man. Like, it's so sad, the fact that we just sit here, we're like watching the devs play Blade. We get to see the streamers play Blade, J3 and them, and we're just like, yep.
He looks like a ton of fun. And I'm excited to see what the meta change is going to be, because I think, Guardians Comp has been so dominant at this level of play.
Right,
it's
that
been
got
very
removed,
dominant. That is now removed, and a lot of the bans were forced here towards that Guardians Comp, because every team is scared.
Off the top of the dome, since we haven't been home, like, what changed with that patch, with the Adam Warlock removed? What was changed? What was given to Mantis and stuff?
Yeah, so Mantis now enables a team up where Loki gets damage boost inside crystals, which is going to change up a lot of those damage boost compositions.
Gets damage boost inside crystals.
Yes, Adam Warlock also, when rezzing, now gets, I think it's 70 or 80% additional over health on the res. So now you can be hyper aggro with the res. Doesn't have that team up anymore to res, or you know what I mean. So that's very important, because it doesn't give that instinctive team up to everyone else, but he gives a team up to Luna, and gives a team up to Luna, where now she has essentially anti-dive, where she can mark an enemy who's diving, Luna, and then you can deal damage and heal yourself at the same time.
And she still has the Iron Fist team up, right?
I believe that was removed. I think it's changed to where Fist now has a team up where he can, when he's meditating, actually give overhealth to everyone around him as well, so prior to a fight. So.
Sorry, just throwing you into like a quiz almost as we see Rad going through and talking about maybe the balance changes of 3.5, which you should check out right now. If you don't have Marvel Rivals, make sure you download it, because that's all I've been thinking about, man. This is super fun, and I love the fact that we're in front of a crowd and in person, and we get to see all of our teammates, but I just want to be home and play the damn game.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, I would not trade this experience with the world. This has been so fun. I've learned so much from them, right? And I cannot wait to see put it into action, essentially. Put it into action as we do look at the stats here. Okay, so once again, you look at Melio. you got 22 finals. Naga with 30K damage, by far the most in the game as a whole. So, that's nothing to scoff at. But Melio is just doing the job of cleaning up all of these finals. And when you have that availability to have those clones for escape and for aggro, it's so much.
This is what I was talking about. I don't think, by the way, Naga, 30K damage on top of that, right? Just the Gene Grade damage output is there. The follow-up damage usually there from like a Loki or Fate in this instance with 11K on his side. And, in level 1 Cook too. The biggest thing, I just don't think that Melio gets talked enough in terms of just being the best duelist in the game. Naga as well on Phoenix, able to flex over to that hero. But there we go, MVP for sure, like you said, Shib. I think this guy has a real shot at being #1. People talk about Sparker still to this day for good reason. Sparker is good, but I think Sparker is the sort of beginning of the future of this game, right? Sparker was the first guy to kind of play a bunch of different heroes, have the flexible pool at the highest level. Melio on stage, I think that he definitely is the best duelist in the game, or has a top 3 discussion, at least in his back pocket.
And events like this will prove it to everyone, and that's what you gotta love about coming down in the history books. Look at some of these alts in plays here.
And, and that's the funny thing, like early days when I was watching Melio's streams and stuff, as we take back a look at all the Venom plays, like you said, all the Captain America stall alongside Fate of the Worlds. But, I mean, the biggest thing with Melio, man, when I watched his streams, he would talk about prioritizing flexibility. At the very beginning of this game, he's like, I just want to play everything. Make sure that my hero pool is not lacking. And I just laughed it off. I was like,
not possible.
Yeah, not possible. I was like, you can't just play every hero. And I was wrong. Turned out I was wrong, because realistically, you don't have to play every hero. You have to have a baseline of every hero, and then per patch, maybe have 3 to 4 really good heroes that you play on. And Melio tends to do that. He can play every single hero in the game, and on top of that, go for these dives. And trust me, who has been another really strong candidate as being the best Captain America and also Venom player in the game.
Yeah, and you speak to some of these duelists, and I've had the conversation with some of these teams that have echoed a similar testament, where it's essentially you want to have 3 or 4, like you're saying, very strong heroes, but you want to have at least 1 or 2 that you can cross-play together as a team, because then your rest of your flex pool, at least they can fill maybe a more meta like Psylocke, right? If Psylocke's open and your other hero that you're playing is, say, let's say Wolverine, you want to make sure your other duelist can run Psylocke. So those very meta duelists need to be played by the team, but outside of that, you want to have some variety that the other do not cover. So these teams are making sure they cover those zones. And I think right now we need to start figuring out what we can ban, if you're on the side of Envy, against over to Rad, because Rad, they don't need to change a thing. They are looking flawless.
And I don't mean to be Debbie Downer, but this is what I was talking about earlier. I just don't think Envy, in terms of their draft phase, has been as good as Rad. Everybody talks about how Rad's ban phases and protections have been near perfect, right?
Yeah.
They made a mistake. They protected Loki before. They don't make that mistake anymore. They protect the Phoenix. They protect the Luna at the right times.
Sure.
Envy is not adapting at the current moment, and they're sort of falling behind. I think that's why we're seeing that steady fall off of Envy from a map-to-map basis, is because of the draft phase. But we are going to Central Park, and was this a good map for Envy, I believe you talked about?
It was a good map for both teams, and that's why it's a little tricky. I'm sure they've done their homework, and they've gone, or they understand how good Rad is at Central Park. But maybe they didn't, right? No, they definitely have.
Right.
But both teams pick this map when available, when they need to, and they find success almost across the board. We have yet to see them duke it out here, I don't believe, or in either way. Rad is looking like a brand new team, and so you can't.
If you were a pro team, Shib, hard question, but would you rather pick the map that you are best on, or would you rather pick the map that your opponent is worst on?
I would, for me, I would go ahead and say I would like to pick a map that forces the strong type of composition, which Rad typically is more dive-focused and stall-focused, where that doesn't play the best. And I do think that that Central Park is a map that can work well until you get to those later parts of the points where it's all about just finding one pick and then really playing off that. But point 1 is the danger zone on stall.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome if you're tuning in to the mid-match of the mid-season finals in Guangzhou, China. $500,000 on the line, $160,000 to first place. Whoever were to lose this loses half of the pot in their side. Man, what an incredible tournament it's been. And this is going to be an incredibly tense map. We've seen on map 5s, on matches where teams lose. A lot of teams tend to bounce back, right? On the ropes. What do you do? How do you respond? Your first opportunity to respond is going to be in this ban phase.
An animal is most dangerous when backed into a corner. Is Envy gonna be that animal? We will find out very shortly as we see Rad locked in and focused here, talking about what they want to do to make sure they bring this home.
Scary teams are here in this tournament. The top teams, both Rad and Envy. Shib, you talked about it. both are animals in their own right and are really insane, right? It's the best two teams in the world here, and I know there's a lot of players back at home that have a chance and have an opportunity to be the #1 player in the world, and I know they're sitting back at home like, I can do that, you know?
Yeah.
And they really can. There's a lot of up-and-coming talent that are young, still, you know, underage, 16, 17 years old, some 18 years old, 19, like, a lot of those young kids that are still getting into it, I'm sure, are, you know, jealous, first of all, for being here. And I'm sure they think they're better than everybody on stage.
Of course.
And they definitely have a shot to be that, and they can prove themselves in the Ignite series when they sign up for those qualifiers.
Yeah, MRC, if you think you can be a pro, why not prove it? Put a team together, get out there, and try to make it to the qualifiers. Find yourself on these big stages and prove to everyone that you can back up what you're saying. And wow, look at this stage. It hypes me up every time, folks. It is surreal to be here, and I know the crowd is tense. Everybody is leaning forward, smelling the screen as we see Mantis once again for the side of NBB banned out, and yeah, Human Torch.
Oh, Human Torch getting rid of him immediately, and that's because of Speedery. I mean, we already know that's an important ban, and here's the Emma Frost Protect. That's at least a change. Makes more sense, right, Shiv, to keep the Emma?
Yeah, I think they look better with Emma out there. Kaluja's very, very strong on Emma, and Magneto not as much of a presence in the KO front as Emma does, especially against a comp like this. Luna Snow locked in.
Yep, Luna Snow locked in. Opposite side, they have a chance to get rid of Luna Snow if they want, but Captain America banned for Team Envy this time around.
Yeah, I like the cap ban here. I really do.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that is not a bad idea.
So why would you not try to ban out the Emma, though? Isn't it also a problem? Melio's been playing phenomenal on that team up.
Yeah, I agree, but I think getting rid of Psylocke is fine, too, as that is matched on both sides. We are going to see some different compositions here. This is really going to shake some stuff up.
Okay, but they didn't protect Emma. The Human Torch going through is definitely crazy, right? That's the first time we're seeing Torch get played for Rad, I believe.
Yeah, I think Envy isn't, you know, they're not too stressed about it, it seems. And they're going to lock in the Mantis,
and they didn't get rid of the, I mean, it makes sense because of the Human Torch ban, but they didn't get rid of the Phoenix either.
Yeah, they're going to run that boost Ultron comp, I believe. And that's what we're going to see here up in the sky for the side.
All right. That's going to be fun. That's a change, at least for Envy. That's something. But, you know, I feel like we're getting the real desperation hours for Team Envy. I mean, they didn't get rid of Luna Snow, and
or is this what they needed? You know,
it could be.
I think
you're right.
In my opinion, Envy really needed to shake things up, and I think them getting rid of, you know, things like Cap and Psylocke is a good change. There is so much value there. Yes, they did allow Phoenix through, and it is banned on their side. Phoenix had a ton of value on damage, right? But the Psylocke was really the one getting those finals, and damage, to me, only feeds strategists unless you can get those finals.
Well, you know the funny thing, if we talk about the best triple res teams in the game, I don't know if we ever talked about Rad being one of them. Then we've always talked about Sentinels. Then we've always talked about, you know, Virtus Pro, two teams not really here at the tournament. There's a lot of good triple res teams, don't get me wrong, that are at this tournament, but I wonder if you could even let that get through if you really want to for a team like Rad.
There is no use with the definition of insanity banning the same things over and over, folks. You need to change things up, as you see now.
This could be over, man. This could be. The problem is it's such a big choice to leave open both Phoenix and Human Torch. I'm scared for Team Envy currently.
But we will see the match back. Speedery going to be on that Storm. That's going to help with some of those cooldowns. Loki Crystals don't succeed too much into a Storm, and Storm, one of those heroes that can get ult incredibly quickly. So that could come into the favor of Cal. Going to be on that Bucky, I think, to help just anti-aerially with some of the damage that we could see there from Bucky in the pull. So we begin now. Off the rip, the teams are pressing forward. We are going to lose Nero instantaneously from Trust Me on that Magneto. Trust Me, showing the diverse hero pool that he does have, as the teams are now down by 1. Walking back, Nero should be back into the fight shortly, and this could be a retake, but Naga already 50%. Trust Me right there. Crook at 75. Month going to potentially launch right back in. Is going to use that copy. The team's got to make presence known now. Naga going to reset and buy time. 61%. Speedery onto Melio, though. And Speedery finally being able to play that Storm in this comp. Trust Me off the map here. Likely due to some sort of Emma kickfall situation. Off the right side. Cal taking this space. We might see a portal back here from Melio. We do. Back on Rad. This is that portal that we're talking about. Naga going to find Nero in the back. Collapsing heavy. Cal onto Naga now. And and that's that pick out of the sky as why Cal is on Bucky. Trust me on the Cal now, though. And this fight was close to taking point, but was not enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with Bucky, too, man. I mean, Melio TP's back. They come back through at that choke point, but the biggest problem is that, yeah, Bucky in general doesn't have that survivability that Phoenix does. I mean, Phoenix can fly, has the self-heal. On the opposite side, Bucky does have sustain with the overhealth, but right now, it's been so hard to get rid of a Phoenix player. On the opposite side, it's going to get rid of Cal on that Bucky.
And here we go, Omega Hurricane starts at the same time of Supernova. Which one is more valuable, the Tornadoes or the Hurricane? As we see the pressure out from Naga, putting a ton of damage out towards the back line. Cal gonna find Naga though. Will they press forward? Window is now pressing up. The Meteor Ram looking towards the back line. Good escape there as they're not able to find value on the side of Trust Me. Teams now using this pressure to own the space, find Trust Me. Bang! Kraken impact comes in. Do I hear two? Gonna try to reset off those clones, and there is the reset. Bang again! Now onto the Emma who falls.
And no portal.
But there is going to be no reset. There is no portal, and walls are up, and they do get point one. Envy is going to find themselves progressing forward and adding some more pressure onto Rad. This ban may have worked.
Yes, Streets phase of the map now. 4 minutes and 5 seconds. You talked about it, Shiv. I mean, it definitely could have worked for Team Envy. Maybe I was being too much of a Debbie Downer as the fact that it's such a huge choice, a huge decision, so much on the line, especially on a map that you could lose and go home, back to North America, and for Rad's side, back to Europe. But right now, they have the driver's seat. Naga over the top left of the map, poking out Envy, who have the Stratus Ultimate ready to go. Their copy, same thing for level 1 Crook.
Folks, Envy has been here before against Citadel. They were down at game point and bounced back. Can they do it again? Month. Got to bring out the dance floor window on that trusted pick of Gru. Got to find Melio, and that is a lot of value as Melio doing a ton of work there up in the sky. Naga dancing around with Torch. He's going to have to reset back, burn that cooldown. Naga now pressing forward again. The team does have that card up about halfway. Omega Hurricane's out now, right towards the back line. Goodbye cooldowns on the side of the strategist. Maybe not. They do use those crystals, but down goes Speedery. Nero gonna find Trust Me. Numbers even now again, but we do have a Vanguard down for Rad. Out we go with the double Psionic. Who gets the most value? Crook is gonna take out Window. Naga still holding on to that Supernova. Will this work out? But they have a ton of space on this point.
Yeah, we were talking about earlier, a game of inches, right? We saw Melio go down earlier because the Fate of the Worlds was a little bit too late. Supernova from the high ground, that's gonna be so much damage. The fall, the grab! Oh my goodness, shuts it down!
Good idea there to bide some time, and that essentially cancels the ultimate from looking towards the strategist line. So good tackle there by Kaluj, built a little bit differently, and knowing that was coming. Cal ready with the Kraken impact with Windows combination. This could be huge, folks. Trust Me and Fate ready, but you almost don't want to combine too much. Oh, we see the combo here. Trust Me tried out of the sky. Naga going to take out Window. That combo will not happen just yet. Month going to copy up now and start the dance floor. Melio on the Punisher. Things are looking very different. Goodbye to that Phoenix. Cal going to hold on to this Kraken and reset as a team. Naga already 60% to that ultimate, and here goes the impact. Will it find value? Ooh, it does not. That was very aggro there by Cal, who was, you know, no longer able to make that combo happen because Window was on the Magneto.
Just this Bucky pick has just not been working for Envy. That's the most difficult aspect of this matchup, is that Bucky not going to be getting as much value as, you know, maybe that Jean Grey, but we'll see coming in. Here comes the early Sonic Seduction, maybe forcing out the Punisher ultimate. So much damage coming down range now.
Psionic essentially forcing out the Judgment here, and that, you know, I'll take that as a win if I'm on the side of Envy on the push. I do think that that ultimate can be detrimental, especially against this competition. Trust Me is close. Level 1 Crook there. Rajaro using this to try to get towards the back line. Unfortunately, there's a Hurricane, and there's Window with a big dunk onto Crook. Melio, Naga, and Trust Me, Kaluj is going to clean up, and that should give them point 2. Envy is looking refreshed, and this ban may have worked as Rad needs to get back on their toes and start sprinting towards them more aggressively. Naga is not able to play as aggressive. I think this let-through of Torch surprisingly is really working out for them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now that they have Cal on to Hella, you're definitely right, Shiv. It's back and forth, maybe to move on to the game. Cal on Hella is a sight to behold based on what we've seen previously in MRC. I mean, he made a name for himself on Hella, one of the best Hellas in the game, if not the best. So awesome to see him back on a comfort pick, but we've seen teams, you know, sort of play Hella last resort. We'll see if it pans out this time around.
Yeah, also there's something to be said about the damage boost from Storm with Hella is threatening to those flyers. Out goes the Supernova again. Window gonna retreat backwards just a little bit. Naga keeping the pressure up, finding Cal. Unfortunately, the building being created in that moment did not put Cal in an advantageous position.
Yeah, pushed him up there, up to the high ground. Meteor M now. Misses.
Gets dunked. Rajaro onto Speedery, and that could be a bit of an overcommitment here on the side of Rad, but I think they want to change the momentum. No ultimates left here for Rad. Fate going to be very close. Crook going to be there after Fate's ultimate, likely. Envy is also gaining towards Nero. Speedery and Kaluj. Cal going to be there, but Month used it all in that last fight.
And the plan is slow. Envy also does have ultimates ready to go. Try to his ultimates very soon. They have to build those up, though. Nero only at 83%. Lunas now builds the ultimates so slow comparatively to how she used to be. And Rad right now have both Shredder's ultimates on their other side. So could be a tough fight here for Envy. Maybe they'll have to go for a just dry sort of fight and maybe build up that Month ultimate later on. But that could definitely impact it later in the fight.
Speedery with the Hurricane ready for action. This is likely going to try to pull out one of the strategist ults. Yes, it is. Right towards the back line. Can you confuse them? Will you force out a multitude? Up goes the Phoenix to counter. Great bubble there, allowing Speedery to keep going forward. It did not allow the counter to take place. As those who don't know, you get rid of all that extra health that you see from Storm with that combo. Up we go again from window from downtown. Not able to make much happen. Nobody getting a ton of value with these off besides Cal. Naga out of the sky. Cal making big plays now. Looking towards Melio, just missing the stun. Back into the heel we go. The dance floor, keeping the team healthy. Oh my goodness. Down goes Melio as Speedery gets another. Will they be able to get up these stairs? A very defensible position while they are resetting. Rajaro, trust me, fall. And Envy is walking them home.
Yeah, right now Rad are not playing like a Groot or something like that. So this Hela also getting a ton more value just in the default, right? You don't have to play a Punish or something that has to delete the Vanguards is bad because Rad's Vanguards are going to have to play slow anyways.
Yeah, and the resets coming through now for the defensive side of Rad, who have been playing lights out this whole series, and this is the first time we've seen a little bit of weakness, but both teams traditionally have hit point 3 in this series, so maybe that is the norm now. Naga going to combine here with Trust Me, who's playing aggro, looking for Cal, who does have that bird, escapes, but not going to live long here as Naga does drop Cal. Going to keep that pressure on right on top of Kaluj, who's trying to escape, using that psionic towards the back line. Nero going to find Crook, though, as strategist goes down, but what a dunk here by Naga. Trust Me, going to find Speedery, and at this point, it is looking dicey for Envy as Naga cleans up Month and Window. Built different on the torch. OT comes through. Cal gonna try to portal play.
Body
not
block.
Close enough. Oh my goodness. What a touch here by
Speedery
Cal.
came back.
And the shield gets burned, and that will do it. But what a push.
Yeah, and what a push indeed.
What a defense, too.
What a defense. You talked earlier, I liked how you called that out. When Storm came in with the ultimate, you said Jean Grey, Phoenix commits the ultimate to get rid of those overhealth, and that's exactly how you called it. Did so much. Also, towards the end, Melio closed it out as well. I mean, everybody came back through, and you saw the ultimate pop, and you talked about how Wolverine, that passive, it gets deleted, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
If the timing works out with Jean Grey, you break those, you force the Punisher pass, or not the Punisher, the Wolverine passive out. Jean Grey with the ult can delete him instantly.
Yeah, exactly. And you can actually land and have the impact damage hit first, and then try to get the passive, which is kind of crazy. So that's definitely on the table. But yeah, for those who don't know about Storm, Storm obviously gets a ton of overhealth when popping that Hurricane, and like we said, Phoenix can almost virtually, one of those more shadow counters, almost virtually one-shot that Storm.
Yeah.
So you got to keep that in mind. Great bubble there, great understanding to hold on. So we will see the defense now for the side of Envy. Can they make sure that they buy enough time on point 1 to shut them down before point 3, or will Rad bring home this W and get 160 Gs and take home the title?
And that's a lot of EU dollars for sure. I think the thing is, if Rad win this series, man, it really feels like they've immortalized Jean Grey in this sort of OP sort of territory, right? We talk about how good Human Torch is, and Naga towards the end showing exactly why. That's why this hero has been perma-banned the entire tournament.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Envy, I love Storm. I think Storm's a good character, and same thing with Bucky, but right now, Jean Grey is disgusting Melio, though, on the Wolverine this time because they know Window's going to be on the Groot. They're at least trying this out, and we know how good Wolverine here is on this first point.
Yeah, for sure. I do think this is a smart attack strategy right now. Naga doing the full flank there. Cal just biding time. Did not look way up behind, but I like that angle a ton. Panther can also take that angle if you use your cooldowns properly. Naga directly behind. So much damage out so far up on the backside. Good retreat strategy here by the strategist playing in that back left corner, but now the whole team is in a danger zone from a very scary Wolverine who tried to find their way in already. Getting low, still holding onto that passive. Naga's dunk could be
soon,
terrifying if that does come through. Cal looking for the pull, just barely missing it. Good positioning there by Naga again. The whole team in a danger zone. Out go Crystals though, and that will keep the team healthy as a regenerative aura. Month breaking all of Month's crystals, excuse me.
They're coming
and
through.
We see some ultimates out now. Month gonna copy up, walk them towards the center. Crook now doing the same with the dance floor, just a little bit better. And ultimates now, it's anyone's game. They're all close. Who gets to it first and who gets the first pick? But if Rad pushes through, this is a scary momentum shift. And Fate gonna find Kalush.
Absolutely, Kalush going down, so is Window. It's just tough. You talked about better ults. I mean, that was just such a strong ult from Rad coming back through to live in by Crook time.
This is a insane push. Granted, Envy did hold on to Nero and Speedery in that moment. Kalush should be close too, but trust me, Fate, Melio, and Naga, and Rajaro, not only did they get point, they come out on top of an ult advantage. Things are looking dicey for Envy. They need to win some neutrals. They need to find some picks now, change the tide, or they will be in trouble as we are at game point here for Rad.
Game point for Rad. Last stand available for Melio. Rajaro comes out, slows down this height. Here comes a Supernova.
And here we go. Supernova out towards the back line. Dance floors to hold on as we see the Omega Hurricane coming through now. Sweeping towards the back line. Shields out. Speedery trying to deal some strong damage on the point. Cal gonna find Naga now. That's a second as Melio falls. Cal with great shots directly on the entire frontline domes as they just walk them in. Month now onto Rajaro. Everybody back towards the spawn door now. Crystal's getting burned out early is definitely a win in terms of the trade. Speedery just gonna use this alleyway here as Storm with the piercing attacks to try to get that out incredibly quickly.
We need to see more like that out of Cal. That was the only time I think we've seen him pop off besides on Hella on Bucky. It's been a hard match for him. We'll see what happens as we go into this next fight. Melio with the last stand could go massive, and Crook as well has the copy.
Yeah, I think it's difficult right now with and a huge last stand on the front line of Kalush, right out into diamond form, getting that reduction. Cal with a three-piece on the Kraken impact. Do I hear four? Walking them now. Beautiful. Just gonna wait on this reset. Team did reset a little. Oh, the reset didn't come through anyway. So good dunk there by Cal, and ult advantage is roughly even here as Crook is holding and Monk.
Jean Grey coming out. This is what I thought about earlier. Melio had to swap off of that Wolverine, especially in the street phase of the map. Go back over to that Jean Grey, which was diffing to Bucky, because otherwise, Cal's gonna pop off like that.
And we start the next fight once more, folks. Up in advantage again, Speedery doing a great job utilizing that speed of ultimate to force out everything and give your team a chance to keep fighting. Ult advantage in terms of the dance floor should be up here for Envy, who waited just a few seconds later. Melio now on that Phoenix, like you mentioned, the tackle, Nero, and wow, Nero finds Melio. Speedery on a Naga, not committing too much at all. Still holding onto those ults as Trust Me falls from Speedery. Once again, still holding onto that Hurricane. Envy finding their footing. Can they push this to another map?
And this is why North America, during stage number 1, with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock, we saw so many bans towards Speedery, especially that Storm. You're seeing why today. It took a while, but Envy on Speedery with Storm is looking phenomenal.
At this point, is it worth fully committing the protection onto Naga and trying to get something else like an invis and just allow Naga to pop, or is it not? And that's the decision I'm struggling with as we see another Supernova come out, gets dunked out of the sky there by Cal. Well done again. That is what Cal is trying to do, just mark the entire time and Trust Me in the sky with a meteor. After the shields, Nero's gonna fall now. Good combination. Does Trust Me go down? The crystals burn. Melio walking towards Kalush. Trust Me gonna find Speedery, and that is a ton as Cal falls as well. They are gonna get KO'd on point just to ensure they can get back to this point with 2 minutes on.
And this is why we talk about Magneto being like sort of sometimes a better version of Venom, right? You can use the Meteor M to not only help the team, but then combine for that cycle that we were talking about with Jean Grey. Now in this upcoming fight, Rajaro does have that ultimate, but we've seen Envy with this situation. 4 ultimates is going to be scary. Nova down!
Wow, Melio is different, popping off there with Naga on the assault. Cal finds Melio though. Fate goes down here for Speedery. Rajaro back on a window. Still an almost even fight as Cal is waiting, looking for a backline. Nobody there. Tries to turn it back, and that is a, oh, what a shot, Cal on a Naga. Trust Me, onto Speedery. It's still anyone's game. They are still holding. Cal looking very strong right now, using all these cooldowns to stay healthy. Out goes another dance floor from the side of Month. Will they maintain this positioning? Window now with a teleport through, using that wall to keep the team separated.
Oh, no!
But it gets blocked And both teams
It's
are
awkward.
actually stuck for a moment. Going to go through the other side. Rajaro onto window. 60 seconds on. Cal looking to try to get another Kraken impact. We see Kaluj dealing a ton of damage, but Naga playing behind these portals like a wall. Very low on the side of Speedery, who now resets. Naga gets Kaluj, and this is dangerous. Up we go with the meteor ramp, but the dance floor is out. The shields are gone. Will the dunk come through? It does not. Now we see Rajaro ready for ultimate. This could be detrimental. Here it is. Speedery finds Melio first, but gets walked right towards the back line. Do they fall? Speedery is able to escape. That is wild to me. Rajaro holding on a tight angle. Cal again onto level with Crook. Psyche lied, finding some serious value, but does go down there from Naga. And here we go with Naga with a supernova. Are you kidding me? The amount of ults being committed and how much back and forth we have is crazy in this fight. Is MB able to hold? They do escape. Trust me, on a Speedery. Kaluj now onto Rajaro. Melio onto Kaluj. And we're just dancing here with Window on the cap, trying to hold on. Cal back with the Star-Lord. 1 HP on a Naga. Naga is able to escape. Are you kidding me? Great play around the cart, and they will get point 2, I believe. And this is getting dangerous now. If you are looking at Envy, Melio spinning, Crook, Melio again, Crook again, and they get point 2.
That was so much time to shoot off the bank, at least for Envy in the streets phase of the map. Now we enter the third point, and honestly, I don't know. Naga's doing so much here on the Human Torch. I know I was talking about earlier Melio popping off on the heroes that he's played, but Naga on the Human Torch came back into the series. Hasn't played much Human Torch, I'm sure, because of how often it's banned in practice and in matches. Now gets to play it and pop off like he is. Envy now, 1 minute on the clock. Can they do it? $160,000 on the line chip. And right now, Rad have that cart pushing.
It is almost over. If Rad can do this, Cal gonna find Melio early and say, I don't want this to end just yet. And that is what you need. You need these neutral picks. Now forcing out some cooldowns. Kaluj gonna start out with a Psionic. Naga in a dangerous position, gets away with the dance floor somehow. Now Naga falls. Well done on the tracing there by Cal, trying to keep this angle tight. Give your team another chance at the fight. Does force out some as Cal is close to that Kraken impact for a third time in a few minutes.
40 seconds left to go, Ship. 30 seconds left to go now. Tournament life on the line. Could Envy win it here and now with 27 seconds left? They can get 2 fights potentially here, so they have a solid cushion to work with.
It is an ult advantage slightly on Rad in terms of time, but we will see Nero now with ult speeder. He's about 70%, and Cal, that's all you've got is, trust me, Melio, Rajaro, soon to be Naga, Fate, already on Rad. They need this win if they want to close this down. Speedery gonna use this Omega shortly once it's available. We got Melio on that off angle, Window now on that cap. Is going to force out as Melio is going out with the Galactic Legend. Crystal's doing a great job keeping the team healthy. Kaluj and Diamond now goes to dance floor now. Patience was huge. Trust me, trying to land this. This could be massive. Onto the back line. Does not land, but it does force out some more cooldowns and a fair amount of health. Rajaro now with the Psionic Seduction. We see, trust me, Rajaro with the 2 picks. Will they get this done? Melio on a Kaluj. Dunks again towards the back line. Trust me, under Speedery. And that is 5. Envy in a dangerous spot now as Rad wants to get this W.
They want to. Cal has ult, Ship. Ready to go. Kaluj coming back. Can they go for some sort of spawn hold? There's no Doctor Strange portal to block. No ultimates for Rad except level 1 Crook coming up with his ult. This could be huge if Envy can win this fight and extend their series.
If Kaluj is able to seduce the Crook right now, that is the best case scenario as out it goes. Melio falls early to Window. We see Naga on the height. They've got a touch here shortly. Psionic is out. Does it stop the Loki? It does not. Loki is able to get that dance floor copy. Cal biding time, counting to 12. Waiting to use that Kraken impact, and there it is. Bang on the Crook. There goes, shield goes out. Unfortunately, the transfer does not allow the reset. That is what happens to the cake. Cannot touch. And Envy holds on. It's not over yet.
Are you kidding me, Ship? Envy, 2 maps to 3 now.
Oh my.
On that map, it was an absolute banger of a map, but it's because on that third phase, we saw, unfortunately not enough time in the clock because of what we saw in second phase, man. That second phase lasted so long, so much stalling. You talked about ultimates used, cooldowns used. It lasted so long, and it really ended up hurting Rad in that third phase.
Them going after the torch with forcing Bucky is crazy to me, but it really did work. I think we were both skeptical on it at first, especially on that initial attack. Their attack from Rad was insane. They got through with 5 minutes on the clock, but oh my goodness, what a battle. My heart is pounding. I cannot imagine what is going on that stage right there. What an experience. 2 to 3. Oh my goodness, let's go.
Let's go. This is our first banger of a match between you and me watching, because there's been a lot of 2-0s and 3-0s and 3-1s, but now because of kind of how things work, right? I feel like usually what happens, especially we talked about this with you, if you see a quarterfinals, where it's a constant sweep across the board day number 1.
Sure.
That bodes well for the next day, because usually you should have closer matches, and lower bracket finals between Rad and 100 Thieves was honestly not that close.
Yeah.
And right now, Rad proving why they deserve to be here, but for Envy, they, through the upper bracket, beat Rad out. Can they come back now? That's crazy, the fact that Rad is up in the series and lost on that map because of, like you said, I was skeptical. I think you were more of a believer of that ban phase, and you ended up 100% correct.
I just think you needed to shift it up. Me personally, just want a great series, and this gets me so hyped. You mentioned that we, maybe I've seen a little bit too many 3-0s, me and you personally, but we've typically had some good series in the past.
We've had some amazing games just for our viewers alone, right?
Oh, yeah.
This entire tournament has been phenomenal in terms of the highest level of competition.
Yeah, I mean, this has just been so much fun. I do think that ban was better for them. I'm wondering what we're going to see change from Rad. Rad really hasn't needed to change too much in their ban phase. Slight changes when it comes to that Emma situation, but I think they just let it slide that time. Didn't think it was too much of a threat, but wow. Strategist line did a great job staying up from the Torch. I think Torch was looking threatening. I think especially map 1, the positioning as a unit back into that corner looked really good, even though it did not work for them. But having a Torch be so oppressive with Crystal onto a backline is my biggest fear if I'm playing Strategist, and they pushed through, and I believe Month MVP'd.
Well, I mean, I know, Ship, just because of biases, I always like to talk about the Duelist mains. I like to talk about the Strategist mains because I used to play Strategist professionally.
Yes.
Over in this game, I play Duelist nonstop, so I love those characters. And on the opposite side, you play a ton of Vanguard. So for me, I feel like it's important to acknowledge both Month and Nero, and same thing with Fate and Level 1 Crook. But I feel like the catalyst, we always talk about Spidery, how good he is, one of the best players in the entire game. And I know everybody knows that already. So I think if Envy were to win this series, it is off the back of Cal and stuff, but Nero and the backline of Month cannot be understated as being one of the best backlines, if not the best, in the entire game. Is that maybe me glazing them too much, or what do you think about the Vanguard play in this series?
I mean, in terms of the Vanguard play, what I think that Envy did well, I think that the Vanguards have been consistent on both sides, honestly. I do think that a little bit of Trust Me has been more of a highlight player right now, but I think the ban of Cap against Trust Me puts him in a Venom or Mag situation, and I don't think the success on Mag in terms of Trust Me's hands is nearly as effective, especially when Loki's on the table and you're able to throw crystals out, and you have flyers when you have Storm. It's just not easy. We even saw Trust Me try to throw at one point into a Storm and missed, and I just think that is a good strategy.
I think I think you're right. I mean, it's so exciting, this series, man. It's 100% on that note. I think Trust Me kind of has, I mean, everybody has similar hero pools. Everybody can sort of play Emma Frost. And it's those different changes, like you said. I mean, we have Window on Magneto sometimes able to pop off as well on different heroes. On Cap, actually looked pretty solid. I mean, not necessarily making any insane plays, but stalling out for incredibly long. Yeah,
doing what Cap does, just distract and annoy. And there are some Caps that find a lot of success with more divey, aggressive playstyles, but if you are a Cap that can just hold on and distract, that's all you need to do. So I think we're going to be moving forward. It's got to be, at this point, because we just did Converge, it's got to be a Convoy map now. So curious what we will see from the side.
So the one we saw earlier was Igiso, right? So now we go to either what Midtown or
Spider Islands, which is a triple hold point. So, but this is going to be
Do you remember who is better on which maps, or any specifics, or it's tough? It's a hard choice because we've gone through already a lot of the maps.
Yeah, we've gone through a lot of the maps so far. I think we'll likely see Spider Islands because it does lend itself to that flyer in this. I think my guess is Rad is going to predict that they'll allow Torch through again because they found success with it.
Yeah.
A very good flyer map is Spider Islands. So maybe they read it that way. I could, off the top of my dome, I can't remember their exact success rate on Spider Islands, but the only downside to that play, if it does go that way, would be that Envy does run triple in certain maps, and that is one of those maps that finds success with triple where you can have that portal and guarantee 3 fights. So, and I think they do it far better than what Rad does with triple. I'm not sure they've even really elected to run it too much. Yeah, this is going to be a hard series, I think, for Envy to come back from, right? Because like you said, if they do want to even go for that Torch hitting through again, and if they go to Spider Islands, I mean, what does that Bucky do on that map? I know Bucky is good there, but I mean, it's up for debate, I think, how things go, especially with Jean Grey being removed. I think the ban system of the opposite side for Rad is set, but I don't know. Do you think they can make some deviations, make some adjustments going forward? Yeah, I'm just trying to think what would be the most successful for them. Maybe it is going after the strat line and forcing Torch to have more value, getting rid of that Loki, because I think just having Loki stop the mag play, if they are going to ban out that Cap again and leave Venom more vulnerable, because I think now that Cal has showed that he's not afraid to pull out that Bucky, Venom is a little more scary. And with Envy still on the table, the team's willing to make the switch.
The switch,
swap switch.
The swap switch.
That it makes Venom. He's a really good Venom, though. So,
yeah, absolutely.
But Envy is the team that can shut that down. That's why you've been seeing him choose the Cap over Venom just due to survivability. So
yeah,
I do think that going after a strat line, if you're on Team Rad, may help.
Okay.
Get rid of that Loki and just do what you just did in the last map and see how it changes. You do have another map before it evens out, so you have some time to play and learn.
Yeah, I think that's a good call out. I think we'll see some adjustments, but taking back a look at the stats, I mean, let me take a look at these actually for a second because they literally just showed up. So, I mean, trust me, was definitely solid. And on the opposite side for Naga, I mean, nearly 40K damage. That's always going to happen for Human Torch, right? Speedily on the opposite side, nearly 40K on Storm. And I think that, you know what? This is what I was talking about earlier. I think each region has their specific things they're really, really good at, right?
Sure.
We already knew from stage 1, teams want to get rid of Speedery on Storm.
Yes.
That's a thing that happened constantly, and I don't think it's changed. I think you still want to get rid of that.
You just don't have the ban for it, right?
Right. Yeah. But prioritizing Speedery's hero pool was never a bad decision until you have Cal popping off on Bucky at points. So it's always a hard decision because of how much Cal's leveled up. But regardless, I think Envy figured out Rad's weakness, right? They can play the torch, but considering maybe they're slow on it, right? It's been 5 maps so far, and 4 of those maps you played Jean Grey instead of Human Torch. Also, same thing for Melio. You're making Melio switch back over to Jean Grey, which he hasn't touched throughout this series.
Yeah. No, I do agree. I think that is the perfect call. Yes, Month was the MVP with almost 60K, 62% accuracy with a flyer on your team is built different.
He's following up on Psylocke dives and stuff.
Oh yeah,
we're always seeing with the KO feed, right? Just kind of across map, hitting sky shots.
32 assists too.
32 assists. I mean, yeah, he's hitting insane shots on Loki and also playing. So I think his backline is the best in the game, and it's funny because he's from Europe.
Stoked to show some love to Month, but you are right.
He's from the UK. He's a traitor to Europe, man. That's crazy. Always the good Strategist players are from the UK, oddly enough. Not many good duelists out of that region, though, unfortunately, for European, especially for UK individuals.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think, first off, I want to show some love there to Month. That is awesome to see. I think, you know, a lot of times in ladder, you may be saying get off Loki when you're in the sky, but Speeder, he does play very low to ground when you're playing Storm, as you should with the boost, because it does enable a larger AoE of your damage boost, right? So that does help your team out, especially when you're running things like that Bucky, who can just essentially deal a ton of damage and knock flyers out of the sky consistently if there's any open area. You can see here, Naga looks crazy there.
He looks crazy for sure. Can I throw you under the bus?
Go for it.
When, I know a lot of players have been talking about this on social media, on X, they'll do this thing called rage baiting.
Sure.
Where they will make rosters, they do tier lists and stuff like that. A lot of people on social media will talk about maybe this game getting a World Cup, right? Getting an event where
crazy
nationality versus nationality. You have Europeans. You have specifically, by the way, that was huge from Cal for sure. Cal is disgusting.
Wild to see.
But you have Canadians versus Americans versus people from Germany and stuff, right? A World Cup could potentially happen in the future. But who do you think is the best duelist in the game? I'm going to throw you on the bus here. Which region, if we're talking about maybe specific areas, America, Canada, or specific regions, who has the best duelist off the top of your dome?
Yeah, I mean, this may seem like recency bias, but I would have said this, I think, prior to. I think I got to say Speedery. I think I have to say Speedery. I think Speedery has a large hero pool. We've seen Wolverine. We've seen and the other thing you got to think of is playing a less meta hero at this level, right? Have we seen Storm run by very many other teams? No. We have seen it a few times, and it's more so to help with that hit scan. But Speedery doesn't care if there's that hit scan. Bring out the Bucky. They don't need that kind of damage boost. Instead, just gets raw value with Storm on her own. So Speedery's got to be my choice there for duelist.
Okay.
How about you on Vanguard?
Ooh, on Vanguard, throw it right back. I mean, that's going to be a tough choice for sure. Man, I see how hard the question is now.
It's difficult.
I got to think about some things. So
maybe, I'll give you some time.
Give me some time,
We'll circle back in the next break.
Well, no, I'll think about it right now. You just got to talk about something else.
All right, well, let's yap.
What do you think?
I'm curious what the audience thinks is going to be the next map, and it is Spider Island. So do you guys in the audience think we were going to see triple? Me personally, Envy on D, no doubt about it. But teams typically, you know, it's up to you. Do you like to attack first or defend first? Is that something that you're always locked in? For me, you got to attack first.
I think attack first for sure. I'm with you on that boat. And to circle back around maybe to the best Vanguard in the game, I feel like actually, oddly enough, I was super impressed with Gombe. I hate to say it. So I don't know if I'm like just because we're in the crowd, we're in China.
A lot of hype.
I know there's a lot of good ones. I would fair to say Trust Me, fair to say Kaluj. I think those are definitely in there as well. But I don't know. Ganbei to me actually seems one of the best vanguards in the game. So I would just go to China. Is that weird?
No, that's awesome. I mean, that's what the beauty of events like this can show us, right? So we're seeing these teams across the regions really show up, proving to not only themselves, but to the entire world who is the best. And this team right now, Envy, a bit on their heels, starting to show up, turning that momentum around. Will they continue walking it and make that title known for themselves as the best in the world, or will Rad pull it off? I know you had said Rad. I picked Envy back in the play-in stage.
Well, then,
they made their way through.
How about this? On a 3, 2, 1 countdown, let's go say what region has the best strategists.
Oh, that's difficult.
All right. No, you just got to say it in 3 seconds, okay? You ready? You're going to say it. 3, 2, 1, UK.
EMEA? Yeah, gotta be.
You said
EMEA.
Yeah. Okay, EMEA for sure.
Yeah, gotta be.
Yeah, I mean, considering they have the backline over on Rad, then they also have on this side of the pond, we have.
And I think Fate, Fate pulling out the Jeff and finding more than enough value on Jeff, like looking insane, carrying team fights, 4-piece ultimates, stuff like that. I mean, it's consistent over there in EMEA's region. So I like that. Man. A good call out and a way to do that at the same time together.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Synergy,
that's why
symbiotic.
We got the sync up, just like these players.
Look at that trophy.
They need to be synced at the current moment. You know, no matter where you're from, no matter where you are playing at the moment. You know, you can have a mixed roster at times. I've played with Korean players and, you know, talking with different languages, living with 3 Koreans. You know, that's a hurdle you have to climb sometimes, just having to communicate with your teammates in different languages and stuff and having to relay stuff. But both of these rosters have mixed rosters, sure, but everybody's native English speakers in this lineup today.
Yeah, I mean, this has just been exactly what we wanted it to be as viewers. Push this thing through, not a sweep. It is getting closer and closer as we look over at Rajaro.
He's
locking in right now.
He's always like that.
I love it.
He's Finnish guys. I talked to his brother in the crowd as well. Super hyped, just super happy to be here. Finland just has, oddly enough, so many talented gamers. Like, it's not exactly the biggest country, but there's so many people just staying inside because it's so cold all the damn time there. And it makes sense that Rajaro is one of the greatest vanguards in the game. Didn't even mention him as much as we probably should, but everybody here deserves to be here. And, you know, with 12 people in the lobby, only so many could talk about, but we already know this
everybody in these rooms are the best of the best. Right? You got to think about that. At this point, we're picking from the top 0.0001%. You know what I mean? These players are disgusting, and no chains once again. Are you kidding me? For map 6.
All right. Spider Island, you called it too, Shiv. You talked about how this is a map that you want to see on the side.
Great band from Envy. Great band from Envy. No difference here, folks, in the bands as last time, almost to a T. We need to see something different here from Rad, and they are going to get rid of, what do you know, Jean Grey once more, seeing how valuable Cal has been on Jean Grey throughout this tournament, and hard locking that. And that was a strategy that found them value initially, but they're starting to learn. Do we need to see a change? Psylocke now gone once more, matched right back. Lunasto locked in.
And this is interesting. I feel like there's no respect given to Rajaro right now. Like, the reason they want to ban Psylocke instead of Emma Frost is always quite interesting because they go for the Emma Frost Protect. Rad knows they want to ban the Emma Frost and not give that to Kaluj. And the same thing is not happening on the other side. They don't really care if Rajaro plays Emma.
All right, Envy is going to be on the defense. Remember, Rad folks are attacking first, their choice, as they want to go through first. Envy, like I have predicted, I have no doubt in my mind, will have triple out here. Strange is through, so that portal will come around. The matter of time, it's all about how much time can they hold that first push. If it's 30 seconds, then it is an abysmal failure, but if it's minutes off the clock, then we may see Envy utilize that time advantage to take home this map and push it to Game 7, folks. We're heading into 6 right now. Lock in, get your popcorn, put your feet up, and let's get after it.
Crack open a cold one with the boys. Shiv and I will definitely be doing that afterwards. We're Americans, and we're with a bunch of Europeans, and, you know, that's just a disaster waiting to happen, just like this series has been for both teams.
Chaos.
Chaos is I couldn't put it better myself, Shiv.
I love it. So we look now. You see Window Cal Kaluj back on the triple as the strategists are out speedery up in the sky with Ultron. And we are going to see Fate on the Jeff. Immediately, Naga goes down. That is wild. Cal, with some great shots there. The team was completely prepped for that. And they were essentially just hard focused on a millisecond whim as some of the team is electing to go behind. Fate actually playing behind on the right in that building. We see Trust Me getting away from some of those group walls directly towards the back line on that Venom now. We haven't seen Venom quite yet from Trust Me, at least not in a few games, who is obscenely strong on that hero.
Yeah, and I'd love to see Fate back on that Jeff for sure. Now we come through, Rad into that room, like you said, trying to pressure out that Loki. Cart hasn't moved a single inch yet until now. It's capped by Rad, but everybody's still here for envy side. Crystal's now forced out.
Remember, folks, Jeff can no longer stay indefinitely under, so it's just about chasing and trying to track. But trust me, and Naga gonna find 3, 4, 5 as the entire team is wiped, but we will see a teleport in again. A minute off the clock already.
And you can run, but you cannot hide from the symbiotic duo of Jeff and Venom. Venom Jeff in this case. I mean, is there symbiote in Jeff's skin? I guess there is, because they are synced up like two peas in a pod. 2 pods in a pea, pies in a pizza pod.
Peas in a pod.
Pod in a pea, pizza pod.
Pizzas in a pizza box, I guess, as we are starting up our next fight now. Portal comes through. Naga with some really good positioning. Team electing to drop back together. That's really good positioning. Jeff gonna go in that building, though, and that could be terrifying onto the whole team. Oh, it's huge! Fate with a 4! Gonna get rid of 1! Will they be able to get to the end? They will. They're gonna throw at the last second. Who has movement cooldowns? 2 of them do.
No,
Still gonna find a few, though. That is a big play. Cal gonna find Naga. Fate now on to Month. That was a massive ultimate. It's Jeff, if you will, coming in hot. What a play.
What a momentum shifting play, man. Jeff, nobody expected to be here in this tournament at the level he has played. Rad, keep this cart pushing forward. They only have one huge Stratus ultimate in level 1 Crook side. They just used it, so now Envy in the situation. They at least have the copy with Month, so they should have an edge here theoretically.
And bang, down goes Melio immediately on a Speedery. What a play once more. Month gonna start off with the dance floor, bringing them towards the point. We see Window popping that strangling. Do they collapse? Do they get value? Rajaro and Crook gonna find Cal. Naga onto Window, and the triple did not work enough for them here as Rad is walking through the first set of points.
They're collapsing. They need to stabilize, but they have Nero's ultimate, and they're doing it. They're stabilizing into the back line. Can they get the one shot with the Venom?
Melio gonna clean that up. Kaluj and Month go down. Now Nero and wow, Rad are looking good once more. They took that last loss personally, and they do not want to stop here on a convoy.
The change for Envy put Cal back over to the Star-Lord to help maybe with the dives, maybe also get some free damage on the Jeff with the spin, right, with that Galactic Legend as well in the sky. There's no Magneto to maybe counter you because you've left that unbanned. Maybe forcing Trust Me or Rajaro to play that mag could be a change that Envy wants.
Yeah, no major shield now is how you got to structure this, Jeff.
Yeah.
From downtown, hoping the team doesn't hear it. Is it big enough towards the strategist line?
There's one.
Does find one. Cal gonna try to make this happen with a spin. 20 HP. Does get the heal and is gonna. Goodbye, Luna. No more dancing for you as Cal also falls. Kaluj gonna take out. Trust me, they'll try to trade these. Kaluj very low. Is gonna fall from Naga. And wow, Rad. They're doing what they need to do. Window gonna find Fate now over on the Venom and is gonna jump right back onto the Jeff and try to find a way to stop this Jeff before Jeff becomes a force that is un-KOable.
Yeah, is Fate gonna switch? No, there's no reason to. I mean, who needs the most overpowered Stratus ultimates when everybody inside the Fate of the Worlds, because the copy for Month is only going to be onto Luna Snows, everybody's inside that ult. Jeff's there to counter it every single time.
This is awesome watch again. Jeff finding value as Kaluj is going to take out level 1, and right back we go. With Speedery.
No!
Oh, it isn't going to be enough damage. It should be, yes. Oh. Down goes Fate as Speedery with a little bit of a focus there, if you will, on the off angle. Nero going to clean up Melio. Alts still advantage here for the side of Rad. We got Cal and Window. Going to force out a strategist ult likely early here from Cal and try to spin to try to get that back fast. Similar to what we're going to see from Storm. It's all about now having as many ults as possible and exploiting the fact that there's not 2 strategist ults on Rad.
Yep. The audience treating Jeff like comic relief. I mean, just kind of over there being forced to use the entire ult. But here it goes into the sky with the Galactic Legend over the high. Can't get one. Naga goes down. Fate of the World's not there to save him in time. Gets Sonic seduced. Trust me, getting able to track them down off of Rajaro. Able to take it back. At least 5 versus 5 now in this fight shift.
Ult still held here for Rad. Speedery gonna find Fate though, and that is a big pick here. Rad is out now with the dance floor from level 1 Crook. Nero still dancing. Window holding on to that feast. Kaluj gonna go cap that point and allow it to slow up and go in the opposite direction for a little bit. Buy us some more time. Supernova is out with Phoenix, and another feast there from Trust Me, which does not land. Everyone pressing Q. If they can kite this is a massive win, but no, Cal playing a little aggressively, thinking that the team would commit to those ultimates. Does bite him a little bit there as Naga out of the sky to Window. What a shot by the side of Rad.
But they have time. The cart isn't that far necessarily, so if they can find the back line right now, they're diving on them towards the spawn. But here it comes. Everybody back.
Out.
Yeah, he's used the crystals.
And they've got to get back here in touch here. Jeff does have ult, and that's the key. Get them
Cal
off point.
Melio.
Jeff ulting now. Everybody's got a panic. Speedery just going to wait, hopefully waiting to see if they can counter this month in a dangerous spot here.
He's keeping it away.
Does get the teleport away. Beautiful as Cal on the Punisher gets two. Speedery with that damage boost have completely switched up comp now. It's all about bursting them. Burst that Venom, burst that Emma, and burst Naga up there on Human Torch. What a compositional switch. I think this is very, very smart.
Yes.
And also you have invulnerability to Jeff ult when you are ulting as Punisher.
And now Fate's going back over to Cloak and Dagger because of, like you said, it wasn't working to Jeff. We saw some awesome plays in the map 1. Now Rad forced to adapt. Envy having the stronger backline, I think, in terms of heroes, but Rad still can make it work.
Yeah, they are going to be slightly behind and ult here. Cal now going to go out with Judgment. Final Judgment, a ton of damage out, forcing them back in that angle. That is enough. Can they find a pick? That could be massive. They do. Cal on Amelio now up in numbers. Ults used by level 1 Crook, and that's a double whammy in terms of advantage. But we are going to see Cal walking right back towards them. Great utilization of ultimates to keep Cal healthy.
Naga's down.
As Nero is dancing, Naga goes down. Ults are going to be up here shortly for the side of Rad, but we are in OT.
OT
Staggering begins, though. They've got to get Melio now. Rad needs to hold on. Can they use that shield to stay healthy? Out they go with Eternal Bond. Very weak. Melio is going to go back to the door to go back into the spawn and use that to reset, but not for long. Cal with the shotty with a two-piece. Kaluge onto Fate. Will they stop this? Will they end this and try to push through as Speedery now on a Trust Me, and that will do it.
What a map by Envy, and Cal is him right now. Definitely not talking about that guy enough throughout the series. Next level. We talk about Wolverine being one of the best heroes at stalling out the cart, getting so much damage. I mean, just in person with the highest in the game. Same thing for Punisher. Cal doing so much, I think, throughout the series. We talked about Speedo, we talked about Melee, we talked about Naga. Opposite side, Cal. He has been in that KO feed the entire time, and right now, Envy's locked in. Holding in Street's phase is huge, but any map, Spider Island, you know, anything is possible here. As you know, you made it that far, but there's so much on the line right now. $160,000 ship.
Oh my goodness. I have to call this out once more. The compositional change. When they were going against the Jeff was getting invaluable amounts of huge ultimates and so much value across the board. They had to switch things up, and they did, and instead ran that Punisher comp, really start sweeping through them. I think the big change for me was when they went towards Storm, and all they're trying to do with Storm and with Star-Lord is press Q off cooldown as fast as possible. Force the strategies to ult, the only one dance floor you've got, and then what else you have to counter all these massive ults? Nothing. Storm becomes way more valuable. You have now Star-Lord who can team wipe. That stuff right there is how you counter a Jeff comp.
Envy, like you said, they've done it all. They've countered Rad at points, but they're going to do it again on their attack ship. And I think Rad as well on this first point where Envy was playing. I mean, inside rooms, the Jeff ults are always going to be big, especially as you have tighter corridors on this first objective. But we go to the second phase of the map, it's longer range, that Loki has more areas to teleport to.
Okay, and that's what I'm talking about that Torch. So that was kind of what I was speaking on the defense, and this map just plays to that flyer, although I do think Torch it finds more value a little closer.
They swapped sides, too. They put Melio on the Torch and Naga back onto the Phoenix.
Oh, very true, because Naga was getting so much value on the Phoenix. What a track, what tracking there by Cal up into the sky. I do think that's a crazy change, you're right. Naga back on it. That Phoenix could be very valuable. Naga's been killing it on Phoenix, but Kaluge on a Trust Me instantly. They are walking now. That's two of the Vanguards, and they do not have that Vanguard triple comp, so they are going to fall. Speedery with a three-piece, and now they're just staggering. Everybody trying to jump to the point to make that quick. And wow, NB, they have the momentum. Will they push this to Game 7, folks?
I mean, this is scary. The ban phase is definitely going to maybe impact this game next map if we get there, because right now, like you said, Speedery on the Storm has been the biggest change, and honestly, that's why we saw in North America people banning out Speedery's Storm.
And we begin once more. Cal in the turret with Mud, just raw damage through the dance floor. That's two! Are you joking? Up to Naga now. Cal getting chased. Great crystals. Out we go with Storm. Once more with the Omega. They didn't have to commit 2 month. Cal and Window still holding here. Ton of damage out onto Cal. The Hurricane gonna find Melio right through that passive. And once again, they are shoving through with .1.
5-minute shib. Second phase of the map. Rad, if they want to close it out here. By the way,
it's a Loki v Loki battle.
Oh, God,
great
shield.
Oh, my goodness, Kaluge. That was gorgeous. Still Month lost that, but Kalush finding Crook after. That is going to be enough to stagger.
It's Chip. This is so much time off the clock, though, right? Yeah, or on the clock, rather. 4 minutes and 38 seconds. Envy is playing that objective so well. That's where they succeeded on the last map. That's how they're succeeding here. Just constantly playing that payload, making sure Rad aren't in a good spot at all times, right? Constantly in weird positions. And right now, this has got to be the toughest spot to be in with 4 minutes and 23 seconds on the clock. That's a daunting time bank.
Yeah, we start once more, folks. Here we go, out with the Psionic off the rip. Now looking directly towards the Venom, trying to deal a ton of damage with that boost there from Storm. And looking to dodge it, Rajaro onto Speedery and Month. Bang! Make that 3, and they're walking the rest at this point as Cal falls.
Rajaro is going to keep this team alive, right? We talked about how he needed to switch to Magneto. That was the #1 point on defense. Right now he's over to Mag. We'll see if they can keep it up. A lot of time still on the bank. 3 minutes 50. That fight.
But you know what's available now?
What?
The final. We're going to have Cal out there with Punisher, who's going to go crazy because that is now off the board. It was a great counter there to a strategist ultimate.
Caster cursed.
Cal falls as soon as I cast her cursed immediately. Still holding on to that ult, though.
Dude, it happens all the time. I was like, we're talking about a player. Immediately gets shut down with the final judgment. But still, they have so much time in the bank, Shib, like you said, and he can still do it.
Well, yeah, he hasn't used it yet, so at least it wasn't canceled. Again, trust me, showcasing how strong they are. Let him notice that immediate disengage, folks. Force out cooldowns. Do not commit. You don't need to. Force those cooldowns out without using your cooldowns, and then go back in like this. And Melio out is going to get locked down. Cal finds one. Will they use this momentum? Cal with a shotty out. Goodbye. Trust me. Now up to the Psylocke. Will we see a follow-up? Holding on to these. Nero's dance floor is all they need now. Month is going to fall. There we do lose as we see the Hurricane coming in from Speedery. Right back on to Fade, who's in the danger zone. The patty cake for days. Oh, could not make the right decision. Thought that was the good play. Kalush is going to find Rajaro in the meantime, though. Yes.
Well, who's back here? Is that the Torch? Or no, that's Naga.
That is Naga, yeah.
Okay, so he's going to be alive in the back line, man. They're getting dicey.
Things are dicey for sure. 3 minutes on. Point still moving. Naga is going to get that help. Cal with a shotgun out, looking directly towards Venom. Here comes that final judgment.
No cover.
Right up in the sky. They need heals, but does not, as Melio plays a little bit differently with some good focus. Way to make that happen for Melio now. Month goes down from Rajaro, and everybody is starting to panic as Rajaro will have that Meteor Ram to counter any sort of Punisher in the future.
Rad could still do this. I mean, Cal on Punisher is solid, but because you switch to Magneto, that's sort of a soft counter to the Punisher, right? With that Meteor M, with the bubbles, you have sustain. Honestly, Rad's decision to make that swap has been the biggest reason why I think they're winning here, but we need to see a lot out of Melio still on Human Torch.
We have Rajaro out and Fate now, folks. Level 1 Crook, very close with Naga. Entirety of Rad, almost there. Window trying to work their way up. Collusion Month, both holding on. Psionic Seduction could be massive into the sky. Trust me now, trying to dive onto Cal. There's that Psionic towards the back line. Not going to do much besides buy them space. Walking, we go. 1 HP onto the front line, but no, not enough. They do have point now as it's scooching forward. Meteor M is up. Can they stuff this with any sort of shield? They can with Kaluj with a great shield there as Emma. Naga with some great positioning now onto Speedery, who has to play on that off angle. Naga tries to land the stun. Cal gonna find Melio. Out goes another dance floor. Now looking at, trust me, excuse me, still walking, and they're low. Speedery walking them down. The Hurricane ready. Out goes another dance floor for Nero. And Psylocke, or excuse me, Phoenix does land. Trust me, cleans that up with Cal.
Yep.
That is enough. And here comes Speedery up with the Meteor M as well. They are going to try to find any value onto this backline they can. Spin to win on the Hurricane now is going through everyone. As, oh my goodness, Trust Me still up.
Yeah, no, he limbs, and Melio gets
Month goes down. Speedery finds Trust Me. Speedery goes out from Naga. Can Rad do this? Naga finds one. Nero now on Melio. All these ults got used.
Dude, they're getting
so nervous.
What
a win here from Rad.
46 seconds left to go. I mean, they were right there towards the end, but Rad on this defense has been phenomenal. Near perfect. 40 seconds left. Melio Shore's getting picked off a couple of times, but he's got the Supernova coming up.
They're playing for Cal. They're getting bubble out from window, and they're playing for Cal's ult.
Okay.
That is what needs to happen here before these ults come through. This is the best chance. Rajaro is close, but if you have patience on that bubble, you can stop Meteor M. They must, yeah, as we begin again, but the switch came out, so now their comms are definitely going out. I know for a fact, Trust Me is mentioning this to the team. Cal just trying to get that all, does have it ready, and here's that counter from Supernova. Very low, 120 HP, and it is dangerous. Cal looking dicey. Naga is gonna find Speedery, out goes. Oh, broken immediately there, unable to see where Cal was. 2 seconds on, they do have to touch. They are in OT now. This is an insane fight as Rojaro's now on Cal. Will they end this, folks? Out goes another dance floor from Fate. Now Crook is close. Nero's out. Kaluj. It's on. That's huge. Kaluj finds level 1 Crook. Naga gotta find Window. Oh my goodness, the teleport comes through. Can they maintain the space? Holy moly, folks. It is back and forth, and they do fall here. They come for glory. They leave with immortality. Rad are not just winners. They've carved their names in Marvel Rivals history.